Chapter 362. Miss, Miss, Miss. The guards at the door shouted respectfully. However, they felt that it was a little strange. Why was the young miss carrying a blushing and weak beauty in her arms? And looking at the young miss, she seemed to be very evil. The man next to her was full of righteousness and was a gentleman. Guan Yinxin supported Dongfang Yuer and nodded to the guards, then walked in. He didn't forget to take advantage of Dongfang Yuer. As the daughter of an aristocratic family, she naturally had some strength, but Dongfang Yuer didn't and could only be manipulated by him. How pitiful! Zhu Tan, on the other hand, did not wish to meddle in their private matters. He looked around for a moment, preparing his plan. Now, he had a good idea. Dongfang Yuer was originally from the Dongfang family, and if she could obtain an ancient godly item, she would definitely be able to participate in the selection. However, I will also be suspected by her madam. Regarding this matter, I still need to discuss it with his honor. I cannot act on my own accord. Yin Xin, don't bully you anymore. Zhu Tian glanced at Yin Xin, a hint of helplessness in his tone. He saw Guan Yinxin pressing Dongfang Yuer against the wall. She was currently enjoying Dongfang Yuer's cherry lips without the slightest bit of restraint. Who knows where her pair of delicate hands were touching? The pitiful Dongfang Yuer was passively enjoying all of this, and she felt as if her soul had gone astray. Hearing Zhu Tian's words, Guan Yinxin stopped her frivolous actions. However, when she saw Dongfang Yuer's delicate and pitiful appearance, she wanted to bully her again. Zhu Tian protected Dongfang Yuer in his embrace. All right, stop bullying Yuer. Yuer, Professor Zhu spoke up for you, Guan Yinxin said with a beaming smile. The latter buried her head deep into Zhu Tian's bosom. This isn't an ordinary tiger's den. I'm really worried that my body will be torn apart by them. Hugging Dongfang Yuer, Zhu Tian asked, Yuer, are you happy? Dongfang Yuer's face couldn't help but turn red, and she couldn't help but recall the matters of the past 2 days. She felt that it was too sudden, as if her life had changed in an instant. But was he happy? It seemed to be a little like being cared for like this. Professor Zhu, in that case, can I make a request? Dongfang Yuer said weakly. Just this tone alone was enough to show that he wanted to bully her. Zhu Tian nodded his head. Go ahead. Dongfang Yuer said in a low voice, My body is weak. Can I not do it every day? According to Lai Gu's experience, when a woman says this, it means that she is not satisfied. A satisfied woman would wish that you were like this every single day. No. Zhu Tian felt that Dongfang Yuer was the one who was dissatisfied with him. This is something that concerns the success rate of his honor's mission, and I cannot be sloppy about this. It seems that I will have to take special care of Dongfang Yuer. Dongfang Yuer was in despair. However, this expression of despair gave Zhu Tianming the urge to bully her. This woman was just asking for it. Yuer, I will help you wash away your family's injustice and let you become the family head of the aristocratic family. That was what Zhu Tian planned. However, this wasn't the life that Dongfang Yuer wanted. Zhu Tian, thank you for what you've done for me. However, I don't want to be some family head. Then what do you want? Zhu Tian asked. A stable life. Dongfang Yuer's wish was very ordinary. She wanted to study hard, find a stable job, find a man she liked, and live a simple life. However, she was sold off by her mother. However, she met Zhu Tian and was destined to not be an ordinary person in this life. Zhu Tian said indifferently, you will have this kind of life. Dongfang Yuer's heart trembled. Then, immediately after, her heart was filled with sweetness. In actuality, being bullied by Zhu Tian like this was something that she was willing to do. After all, Zhu Tian was her benefactor, the second person that was good to her, and this was enough for her. On the other hand, Zhu Tian's words of love that aren't easily spoken can be given full marks. If Zhu Tian had this kind of ability, wouldn't Qinya and Baiji become obedient rabbits? Unfortunately, Yihua wanted to save face. Using Yihua's words, I will not say those mushy words of love. If not for the fact that they deeply loved Yihua, Qinya and Baiji would definitely not be able to endure Yihua's temper. Very soon, the three arrived outside of the banquet hall. After the guards went to inform the guards, the three walked into the banquet hall. The banquet hall could be seen to be very grand. All of the utensils on the table were spirit artifacts, and even the red carpet on the floor was spirit artifacts. Therefore, the items that were sold in the auction that day were all things that Yi family did not want. However, for ordinary families, those items could be stored away like treasures. Guantong sat on the main seat. After all, this banquet was held by Guan family this month. Yi Xiao, Jiang Yuanzhou, Chu He, and an unfamiliar middle-aged woman. This woman's appearance was not beautiful, but strange. Because the left side of her face was not symmetrical with the right side of her face. If this kind of face were to appear at night, it would definitely scare people to death. This woman was the family head of Duan family. Her name was Duan Ho, and her name was just like her name. She did not have the ability to become pregnant, and thus, she did not have any children. Of course, this was because she was harmed by someone, which was why she changed her name to Duan Ho. Her temperament was also strange, and she liked to torture men, especially handsome men. From the looks of it, this Duan Ho is also a woman with a story. And when this Duan Ho saw Zhu Tian, interest appeared in her big and small eyes. "Father," Guan Yinxin shouted out tenderly. She did not feel that she had lost face at all. Zhu Tian was her sky, a man that could make her feel as if she was in heaven. Zhu Tian was very formidable. He merely nodded his head towards Guantong. Most importantly, he was hugging another woman. Zhang family knew about the inside story, while the other three families only heard about what happened last night. Chui laughed heartily. Congratulations to family head Guan for obtaining such a handsome son-in-law. There was obviously a belittling intention in his words. Handsome son-in-law. Isn't that the same as saying that he is a gigolo? Isn't that a person from Bai family? Jiang Yuanzhou asked curiously. Guan Yinxin smiled and added, "Little sister Yu had escaped from Bai family's control and regained her freedom. She was fancied by her husband. For an aristocratic family, this was not a big deal. It was just taking in a concubine." Guantong appeared to be very angry. His chubby face was trembling, and his double chin looked extremely disgusting. The person behind Chu, he was naturally Chu Bo, a man who couldn't find his big brother, and he was currently sizing up Dongfang Yuer. During the auction that day, this girl was also present. Looking at her trembling appearance, he really wanted to bully her. It wasn't only Chu Bo who thought so. Everyone thought so as well. That delicate appearance of hers could indeed cause others to feel pity for her, but that was only for ordinary people. To them, there was also a hint of bullying within the pity. It would definitely be very fun to bully such a girl. Indeed, even Zhu Tian felt secretly happy, especially when Dongfang Yuer was begging for mercy in a low voice. That helpless expression, that expression of her biting her lips, the value was so great that it could explode the heavens. Guantong thought that his son had already succeeded, but in the end, not only did he not die, he even came here. If it wasn't for the fact that there were so many people here, he would have directly killed him. Chapter 363. Because the family head did not let his daughter sit behind him. Guan Yinxin, on the other hand, didn't mind. She was already tired of this kind of life. Her life with Zhu Tian was filled with excitement and temptation, and she liked it even more when Zhu Tian conquered her. Sitting at the back, Zhu Tian and Guan Yinxin did not continue to bully Dongfang Yuan. After all, there were many people around. Guan Yinxin showed her concern. She knew that Dongfang Yuan was very weak, and she probably didn't even have the strength to raise her hand right now. Guan Yinxin personally peeled fruits for Dongfang Yuan to eat to replenish her strength. Dongfang Yuan was very grateful. She had been bullied by Zhu Tian 4 to 5 times today, and she had no energy left. What is my big brother secretly talking about? Guan Yinxin saw her big brother, Guan Li, walking toward her father and whispering, causing her father's face to darken. Zhu Tian silently drank a mouthful of tea. This alibi should work. Next, it will depend on Bai family's reaction. Whether or not something happens tonight will depend on how much Bai Cixin dotes on her little brother. Right now, a funeral was being held in Bai family's castle, and various family heads sent their sincere condolences. Among them, there was even a youngster who was looking around. This youngster was Dou Fushi, who had not appeared for a long time. Zhu Tian needed an unfamiliar face to go to Bai family to say a few words. However, in the group, the madam seemed to have never seen Dou Fushi before. Today, Dou Fushi received the black gown Big Brother's order and immediately went to Zijin City. According to the order, he killed the Tang family's little brother who came to mourn, and then came himself. The current Dou Fushi was no longer the youngster who only knew how to catch ghosts. Even big shots had to submit to him, let alone a small family. This kind of mission was not difficult at all, and the black gown Big Brother even told him to be careful. A guest has arrived. Dou Fushi opened the flower wreath in his hand and shouted out gravely, "Northern Tang family has sent their blessings, Pa. They have sent their condolences." Bai Cixin, who was wearing a white muslin dress, slowly raised her head and looked at Dou Fushi with killing intent in her beautiful eyes. Wang Debao also stared at Dou Fushi. This Tang family came to send their condolences. It was obviously a deep irony. Dou Fushi swallowed his saliva. "I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of anything. I'll just follow my lines." Cough. Patriarch Bai, you don't have to be sad. Patriarch Bai said that it's a good thing to have one less tumor in society, lest more tragedies happen in the future. Clan Head also said that he is very sorry for Bai Chi's death. He hopes that Clan Head Bai can restrain his grief and give birth to a son soon. He hopes that your child will not become like this and jump off a building to commit suicide. After saying that, Dou Fushi heaved a sigh of relief. Today's mission could be considered completed. However, this woman was crying as she looked at him. Could it be that she had been moved by his charm? Sigh. The head of the Bai family was too frivolous. But if he really wanted to flirt with me, I would just symbolically resist for a while and then accept my fate. A cold and gloomy wind suddenly blew in the morning hall. Dou Fushi looked at the black tower in Bai Cixin's hand. However, a ball of ferocious black fog attacked him, and then his consciousness blurred. Didn't you say there was no threat? How could this be? I was fooled by Big Brother Blackrobe. No wonder sister-in-law told him to be careful before he left. It seemed that sister-in-law still loved me and knew that things were dangerous. Bai Cixin openly used an ancient godly item to kill someone in her little brother's mourning hall, causing everyone in the surroundings to be stupefied. I feel that something big is going to happen tonight. Bai Cixin slowly stood up and shouted out gravely, "Tang family is going too far. My Bai family and Tang family are irreconcilable enemies. Ordinary families wouldn't dare to get involved in a fight like this, as they were afraid of getting implicated. After all, Bai Cixin was currently disregarding Voidless Realm's order. Wang Debao was not a coward, and thus, he naturally supported his wife. "Xiao Yi, do you dare to follow me to Tang family?" Xiao Yi, who was sitting at the side, pondered. If Tang Wushuang were to become the head of a family, his days would definitely not be good. "I'm going to exterminate Tang family tonight. Bai Cixin will also receive Voidless Realm's punishment, and I won't be able to escape as well. However, at the very least, my crime will be lighter, and I will be able to get rid of any future threats. This is a pretty good choice. Furthermore, with two ancient godly items, why would I be afraid of a small Tang family? Let's go." Xiao Yi chose to exterminate Tang family to get rid of any future troubles. Bai Cixin said to the family heads present, "After tonight, you all can say whatever you want. However, if someone were to go and drink water tonight, that person would be making an enemy out of my Bai family." Since Bai Cixin had already said it to this point, everyone naturally wouldn't go and tell on Bai Cixin. After all, this was human nature. This Tang family is too excessive. They actually sent people over to mock us. Bai Cixin brought along Bai family's people and charged towards Tang family. Of course, there was also Wang Debao and Xiao Yi. A huge battle tonight is unavoidable. The people in the morning hall gradually dispersed, and only Do Fusher's gloomy expression was left behind. Death Mage suddenly appeared and brought Do Fusher away. Soon after, Death Mage transferred a bit of healing black mist to Do Fusher. Do Fusher immediately woke up. "Oh, you scare me to death, big brother, and you still dare to say that there's no danger?" GGG, Imperial Translation. Of course there is no danger. Aren't you fine? Do Fusher's heart was filled with despair. After experiencing the thrill of death, this feeling is simply too terrifying. Sun Fong came over with a bowl of porridge. "Drink some porridge. Today's mission was done very well." Do Fusher happily received the bowl of porridge. "Thank you, sister-in-law. Eldest sister-in-law treats me the best. It seems that she can't forget me, but it's not convenient for her to express it." At this moment, in Tang family's manor, Tang Wushuang was actually sitting in front of the dressing table, and his two wives were currently helping him put on makeup. Her expression did not change. Although she was disappointed, it was better than seeing her husband collapse. "Am I beautiful?" Tang Wushuang's voice had completely changed, and his face had also changed. Everything had changed. Quan Anrong looked at her husband in the mirror and took a deep breath. Her husband's appearance was getting better day by day, and he was about to lose to her. Furthermore, there was even a hint of flirtatiousness between her brows. Beautiful. Quan Anrong didn't dare to imagine what would happen next. It was the same for Mu Jia. Her husband had become neither human nor ghost, and she still had to keep smiling. Tang Wushuang stretched out his long and thin finger and stroked his own beautiful face. He was incomparably happy. So this is how it feels to become a woman. It seemed like his mentality had changed. Suddenly, Bai Cixin's delicate shout resounded from outside the house. "Tang Wushuang, get out here and pay for my brother's death." Tang Wushuang's brows wrinkled, then snorted, "Ignorant woman." "Wushuang." His two wives called out worriedly. Tang Wushuang said, "You two stay at home and wait for me to kill that bitch. Be careful." Tang Wushuang's current strength was much higher than before. If Tang Wushuang was a Santana in the past, then he was currently a Portia. Looking at Bai Cixin, Xiao, Yi Wang de Bao, and the others who were in front of him, Tang Wushuang shouted out, "What are you looking for me for?" Chapter 364. "I'm Tang Wushuang." When he said that, half of the Bai family was stunned. Looking at the beautiful woman in front of him, she is Tang Wushuang? Even if he had run away from the Koreans once, there was no way he would end up like this. Xiao, he walked forward and shouted, "Stop acting mysterious. Call Tang Wushuang out." "I am Tang Wushuang." Tang Wushuang was also very angry. No one actually believed in him. In that case, he could only take out the ancient divine weapon-piercing tomb. After obtaining Voidless Realm confirmation, Voidless Realm returned the Ling Qi back to Tang Wushuang. Everyone looked at the ancient godly item in Tang Wushuang's hands and rubbed their eyes. Is this really Tang Wushuang? After all, an ancient godly item would only appear in the hands of the patriarch. Who would give it to someone else? Are you really Tang Wushuang? Wang de Bao found it hard to believe. This kind of woman is actually on the same level as my wife. My God. Also, how did Tang Wushuang's chest muscles become so big? Tang Wushuang's beautiful face sank, and in an instant he emitted out a world-shaking spiritual energy, causing everyone from the Bai clan to be dumbstruck. If this person wasn't Tang Wushuang, then who could it be? Bai Cixin's killing intent was firm. No matter whether you're Tang Wushuang or not, I'm going to bathe this Tang clan in blood today. Bai Cixin, are you out of your mind? Voidless Realm had instructed us again and again. So what? You sent people over to humiliate me, so I'll definitely return it to you today. The 9 Demons Punishing Tower had already appeared in Bai Cixin's hand. Wang de Bao took out a set of shiny golden armor from the system, while Xiao he took out the Xinyuan sword. Tang Wushuang recalled the people he had sent out and said in a deep voice, "Where are my people? Kill him. You dare to kill my brother-in-law." Tang Wushuang immediately emitted out a sharp killing intent. "I'm not only going to kill your brother-in-law, I'm going to kill your entire family. Bai clan, listen up, slaughter the Tang clan. In order to avenge her brother, Bai Cixin was willing to pay any price. It could be seen how much she valued her brother. Tang Wushuang didn't expect that things would turn out like this. Today, he indeed had the intention of flirting with her by asking people to go and mourn her. However, he didn't expect that there would be such a result. However, Tang Wushuang wasn't scared, and he shouted, "Tang clan's people, listen up, kill." In an instant, both parties started fighting against each other, and right now, Tang Wushuang was actually able to fight against 3 people by himself. It could be seen that this cultivation technique was indeed powerful. In the villa, Gue Chengren stood by the window and looked at the situation outside, and his phone suddenly rang. "Aya, it's updated." He immediately started reading. When Absolute Heaven, who was currently attending the banquet, received the report, the corner of his lips curled up slightly. He was in a very good mood. Sure enough, he had guessed correctly. Bai Cixin loved her younger brother very much. In order to avenge her younger brother, she even gave up her position as a member of an aristocratic family. For a woman who loved power, this choice was truly admirable. However, to Absolute Heaven, this was just a quest. If she could fall for it, she would naturally be happy. If she couldn't, it didn't matter. He naturally had other methods. Right now, I only need an opportunity, and everything will be so natural. The slightly happy Absolute Heaven hugged Dongfang Yu in his arms and started to take liberties with her again. "Ju Tian, let's go home first." Dongfang Yuan said pitifully. That tender and pitiful look of hers made one's heart ache, but at the same time, it also made one unable to help but to want to continue bullying Ju Tian. Absolute Heaven nodded his head and said in a low voice, "Next time, don't wear such a long skirt." Guan Yinxin said sweetly, "Then I won't even wear underwear." "Sure," Absolute Heaven said with a deadpan expression, as if he was discussing a very deep problem. At the banquet, Duan Ho raised her head and drank a cup of wine, then asked, "Yi Shao, I heard that your son and Sage Doctor disappeared together. My son might have gone somewhere to handle some matters with Sage Doctor." Yi Shao squeezed out a smile and said, "This is not what Chu family's young master said. This matter has to be investigated properly. The crime of murdering the son of an aristocratic family is not small." Duan Ho's words had the intention of sowing dissension, but that was the truth. Absolute Heaven, who was sitting below the banquet, caressed Dongfang Yu lightly and listened to their conversation. "Chu," he said gravely, "my son definitely wouldn't do such a thing." "Duan Ho, you better pay attention to your words," Duan Ho said faintly. "However, I heard that after the banquet ended, young Master Chu brought along 2 ladies and left. Those 2 ladies were very eye-catching on that day." Yi Shao and Chu He's gaze sunk, because, in Chu Bai's confession, those 2 ladies did not appear. "Chu Bai, is what Duan Ho said true or not?" Chu He questioned angrily. Chu Bai felt uneasy in his heart. He didn't know if anyone saw the Qing sisters get on a carriage that day. Could it be that someone saw it? If someone really saw it, wouldn't it be troublesome? After all, they would go and find trouble with the Qing sisters. "Chu Bai, I'm asking you a question." Chu shouted once again. "Yes." All the patriarchs present gasped, because this was related to the level of snatching women. Yi Tai and Sage Doctor might have met with misfortune, and this Chu Bai was the first to complain, taking the initiative. Anyway, dead men tell no tales. However, Chu Bai still didn't know that the 2 of them were already dead. "However, I didn't kill them. They were the ones who forcefully snatched women. I was injured in order to save them. Fortunately, they lent a helping hand, and I managed to keep my life. However, we really didn't kill them at that time." Chu Bai's words were not convincing at all. It was full of loopholes. How could the 2 women be a match for Yi Tai and Sage Doctor? They didn't even know how to lie. Yi Shao said to Chu He, "Old Chu." Chu He said in a deep voice, "Who knows? Maybe those 2 women framed my son? Isn't that right, Chu Bai?" Chu Bai knew that his father was helping him, but he really couldn't afford to offend them. "No, they're very strong, but they're good people." Chu Bai hurriedly explained, telling everyone not to offend them. Yi Xiao said gravely, "Seems like we have to go and invite them to be our guests." "Unfilial son, take him down," Chui shouted out angrily. "My son definitely didn't kill anyone, and I reckon that someone framed him. Could it be this Empress Duan? She was the one who instigated this matter." Dong, dong, dong. Suddenly, the bell rang throughout the entire Guan family. Guantong suddenly stood up. "Guards! What happened?" An imperial guard hurriedly ran over and said in panic, "Family head, an assassin came. Eldest young master, what happened to Guan Li?" Guantong's small eyes suddenly opened wide. Eldest young master was assassinated. The entire banquet immediately became silent. The son of an aristocratic family was assassinated in his own home. This was a slap to the face. This was a humiliation to the Guan family. "Where's the assassin?" Guan Tong shouted. "The assassin is still escaping." Right after Guan Tong finished speaking, a black figure quickly passed through the sky. Without even thinking, Guan Tong chased after the black figure. The other four family heads paused for a moment, then chased after the black figure as well. Chapter 365. Yenek Cyan, let's go catch the culprit, Zhu Tian said indifferently. He then brought the two women with him as he gave chase. After all, if it was too far away, it would be difficult to control it. Some corpses were still quite useful. A black figure was seen running away at high speed, followed by the clan masters of the 5 great clans. Such a situation was unprecedented. Behind them, Zhu Tian carried the two women in his arms as he leisurely followed behind them. "The matters that happen tonight will cause your wife to be vexed once again. If your wife is willing to listen to his honor's words, I wouldn't have to do all these things." At this time, the Tang family manor was flowing with blood. It was too horrible to look at. The ground was littered with the corpses of people from both sides and broken limbs. At this moment, Tang Wushuang was also heavily injured, and blood was flowing down from his arm. Bai Cixin, Wang Debao, and Xiao Yi all had different kinds of injuries on their bodies, but they were just minor injuries, so they were nothing to be afraid of. It seemed like even with the 3 of them joining hands, Tang Wushuang was still unable to handle them. "Wushuang, and Rong isn't going to make it." A few pretty wives ran out of the villa. Quan Anrong's face was pale. There were no wounds on his body, but he was twitching as if he had been cursed. This was the vengeful spirit of the 9 demons punishment pagoda. Quan Anrong did not expect it to be entangled with him. Tang Wushuang's expression changed greatly as he ran to the front of his beloved wife. The ancient godly item that was in his hand fell onto the ground, and he hugged onto Quan Anrong. And the ancient godly item that fell on the ground suddenly disappeared. Gui Chengren kept the ancient godly item, shook his head, and prepared to leave. "Anrong!" Tang Wushuang shouted out. Quan Anrong's delicate body was entangled by the vengeful spirits. Her expression was one of agony, and it looked like she was about to die. Tang Wushuang's expression was flustered, and he hurriedly shouted towards Bai Cixin, who was in the sky. "Bai Cixin, if you have any grudges, come at me. So what if you kill my woman?" "Tang Wushuang, what about you? So what if you kill my brother?" Bai Cixin had no intention of letting go. "You kill my younger brother, so I'll kill your woman. I'll let you experience the pain of losing a family member." Xiao Yi, who was at the side, looked at Tang Wushuang, who was far away. "That helpless look of his is extremely similar to me back then. What was the difference between his actions and black robes? But for the family, they had no choice but to do so." Irony, a huge irony. When Tang Wushuang saw that his beloved wife was getting weaker and weaker, he actually turned around and knelt down to Bai Cixin. "Bai Cixin, you can take my life, but let my woman go. Dream on. I want you to watch her die. You." Mu Jia shouted out. "Wushuang." And Tang Wushuang turned his head around to take a look, and his beloved wife had already left, and that pair of beautiful eyes of hers was currently looking at him. There was a look of reluctance on his face, and he even stretched out his hand, as if he didn't want her to give in. And Rome, Tang Wushuang rolled and crawled on the ground as he hugged onto his beloved wife. Smelling that familiar scent, Tang Wushuang let out a painful howl. That mournful howl caused Xiao Yi's expression to turn gloomy, and he couldn't help but recall that day when Cindy died in his embrace. By Cixin, I want her life. All of a sudden, Tang Wushuang burst out a terrifying evil aura. Black lines appeared on her pretty face, making her look sinister and terrifying. Sharp teeth actually grew out of her skin, making people's hair stand on end. The spiritual pressure emanating from his body was even stronger than before. Bai Cixin and the others' expressions darkened. What kind of monster is this? However, a black shadow suddenly appeared in the middle of the two sides and stopped. The clan heads of the 5 great clans immediately appeared at the scene. Looking at the scene in front of them, their brows furrowed. The Tang and Bai clans were actually having a bloodbath. The casualties are so tragic. When Bai Cixin and Xiao Yi saw the 5 family heads who rushed over, they were a bit surprised. Didn't they come over too quickly? When Tang Wushuang saw the 5 family heads rushing over, the sinister expression on his face gradually faded away, and he returned back to his delicate appearance. Tang Wushuang immediately kneeled on the ground and begged, "Family heads, this Bai Cixin is vicious. He killed my beloved wife and exterminated my Tang family. Family heads, please uphold justice for me." Bai Cixin hurriedly explained, "Family heads, this Tang Wushuang sent people to cause trouble at my little brother's mourning hall and humiliated my Bai family. But didn't my brother-in-law still get killed by you?" Tang Wushuang shouted out, "I also want to kill your whole family." The 2 family heads each held onto a statement, and Yi Xiao shouted out, "Everyone be quiet." Only at this moment did everyone see that the black-robed man in the middle seemed to be very weak. Guantong questioned coldly, "Who sent you to kill my son?" Tang and Bai family were startled. This black-robed man killed the son of an aristocratic family? Isn't this a bit too awesome? The black-robed man seemed to know that he wouldn't be able to escape, and he took a deep look at the 4 family heads who were standing together. This gaze seemed to be telling Guantong that the murderer was one of the 4 family heads. Meanwhile, the expressions of the 4 family heads changed. This is framing. The black-robed man suddenly slapped himself. "Don't." Guantong wasn't in a hurry to stop the black-robed man, and he could only watch as the black-robed man turned into blood mist and fell onto the ground. Guantong slowly turned his head around and looked towards the other 4 family heads. "Who was it? Who was the one who called him here?" Jiang Yuanzhou said gravely, "Family head Guan, please calm down." "Jiang Yuanzhou, was it you? Yesterday, I made you lose face, and today, you killed my son." How could Jiang Yuanzhou be able to stand being framed like this? He shouted out, "Guantong, without any evidence, don't slander me. All of you are suspects. I will report this matter to Voidless Realm and have Voidless Realm give my Guan family justice." After finished speaking, Guantong left. The other 4 family heads looked at Tang family and Bai family, and Chu He said gravely, "You all can just wait for Voidless Realm's punishment." The 4 family heads hurriedly left. Bai Cixin clenched her teeth and shouted out, "Retreat." "Bai family head," he shouted out, "This Tang Wushuang is letting him go just like that?" Family head Xiao, "The aristocratic families have already interfered. If you continue to kill him, it will be a crime punishable by extermination of your family." After finished speaking, Bai Cixin left with Wang Debao. There is a difference between fighting secretly and fighting without listening to others' advice. You are still afraid of the former, and you are completely not giving face to the latter. Xiao Yi looked at Tang Wushuang, who was carrying his wife, then let out a light sigh, then turned around and left. "Today, I didn't manage to kill him, and instead, I still have to wait for Voidless Realm's punishment. I am truly unlucky." With unwillingness, Xiao Yi left Tang family. Meanwhile, Tang Wushuang, who was carrying his wife's corpse, walked into the house. This hatred is getting bigger and bigger. On the other side, Zhu Tian was carrying Dongfang Yuer and Guan Yinxin, who had already fainted. Looking at the faint light emitted from the forest, Zhu Tian carried the two women and walked towards the light source. Gui Chengren, who was reading a novel, suddenly stopped his footsteps, then turned off his phone and asked, "Your Excellency, what's the matter?" Zhu Tian placed the two women down, then rubbed onto his eyes and said faintly, "Lend me that dagger." Gui Chengren turned around and looked towards Zhu Tian. "Why?" "Because it isn't yours." Zhu Tian looked at Gui Chengren coldly. He didn't like this person at all. Gui Chengren chuckled. "I have seen arrogant people before, but I have rarely seen someone as arrogant as you. Seems like my arrogance didn't disappoint you. Do you want me to fight with you?" Zhu Tian asked curiously. Chapter 366. After setting up a barrier to protect the two women, Zhu Tian rubbed his eyes and said faintly, "If I move a single step today, it will be my loss." Arrogant. Too arrogant. Too arrogant. Gui Chengren had never seen such a pretentious man before, to actually dare to say such words. Unbearable. "All right, if I am unable to kill you today, you can take my life." "All right." A breeze blew past, and a few fallen leaves slowly fell to the ground. The sound of the leaves swaying against each other could be heard. This made Zhu Tian recall some things. "Hurry up and finish this, then go back and make them submit to me." Gui Chengren took out Si Ling. Although Si Ling is only a dagger, its might cannot be underestimated. Back then, Tang Wushuang even used it to pierce through Xiao Yi's armor. It is not an exaggeration to say that it can cut through iron like mud. And Gui Chengren's understanding of Si Ling seems to be even more thorough. Spiritual cut. Following Gui Chengren's shout, the spiritual energy on his body gradually spread out and actually rushed towards Si Ling. Si Ling greedily absorbed the spiritual energy like a 3-year-old child, and the blade of the dagger became brighter and brighter. Spiritual test. Gui Chengren raised Si Ling with both hands. A layer of black clouds suddenly condensed in the sky. Boom, boom. Thunder suddenly sounded out, and one after another, lightning struck down. Si Ling was like a lightning rod as he absorbed the power of the lightning. Spiritual cut. An even more powerful spiritual energy gushed out from Gui Chengren's body, and gradually, the spiritual energy actually turned into a small white ball. Gui Chengren bit his finger, and a drop of blood slowly floated into the small white ball of spiritual energy. In an instant, the small white ball of spiritual energy turned red, and soon after, the small white ball of spiritual energy merged with Si Ling. Right now, Si Ling was alternating between white and red, emitting a wild might that sounded like the roar of 10,000 beasts. In front of Zhu Tian's eyes, it was as if the end of the world had arrived. Right now, Si Ling was no longer a small dagger. Rather, it was an existence that was even more ferocious than an ancient godly item. This Si Ling had already surpassed the level of an ancient godly item, which made Zhu Tian a bit curious. And after Gui Chengren finished using the buff, he became a lot weaker. After many years of comprehension, I have finally come up with this move. What bullshit, voidless realm. This move of mine will be able to take the Empress's head. After many years of comprehension and application, this was what Gui Chengren had learned from reading novels. Initially, he was just trying it out of curiosity, but he didn't expect to succeed. Reading novels was really a good thing. Absolute heaven nodded his head. This person was indeed very powerful, especially that move of his. Speak. Just what are you here for? I'll leave you an intact corpse. Gui Chengren questioned. Zhu Tian calmly replied, I just wanted to use your dagger. Use for what? Gui Chengren asked curiously. My handmaiden is a member of the Dongfang family. As her master, I naturally have to help her clear her grievances. Humph, what a big tone. Washing away the injustice of the Dongfang family. Then I want to see if you have the ability to do so. Gui Chengren's eyes focused, and the spiritual energy on his body rose once again. It frantically engulfed the scene and caused a rumbling sound. As for Gue Chungrun, he turned into a black afterimage and attacked toward Ju Tian with deathly aura. His speed was so fast that it made people exclaim in admiration. Unfortunately, he had encountered absolute heaven, one of the 7 deadly sins, bearing the mind, the right-hand man of the supreme honorable. Absolute heaven slowly raised his hand and extended his index finger. Shua! His index finger revealed a cat's claw, which glowed silver under the moonlight. Ding! The cat's claw and C.I. Ling clashed together, and a muffled sound rang out. The sound was especially ear-piercing, and this sound actually turned into a sharp blade that engulfed the surroundings. All of the trees were chopped down, and a rumbling sound could be heard. Clearly, this is a dagger that can't even be considered as a nail clipper. Ju Tian looked at Gue Chungrun, who was absent-minded, and said faintly. Gue Chungrun blankly looked at the man in front of him. This is impossible. That attack from C.I. Ling just now had the might of an ancient godly item. How is it possible for him to block it with his fingernail? This is impossible. Even the main character in the novel would not be so abnormal. Why is he able to block it with his fingernail? C.I. Ling fell onto the ground powerlessly. Ju Tian stretched out his palm, and C.I. Ling slowly fell onto his palm. Gue Chungrun collapsed onto the ground and asked absent-mindedly, "Are you really able to wash away the injustice of the Dongfang family?" "I never lie," Ju Tian said with his hands behind his back. His voice was even a bit lower, and he was imitating his honor again. Gue Chungrun seemed to be at ease and said faintly, "Come, in my life." "All right." He swung the dagger in his hand and pierced through Gue Chungrun's heart before returning to his hand. Gue Chungrun blankly looked at his chest that was bleeding and then looked at Ju Tian. Why is this man not following the routine? Shouldn't he be curious? Shouldn't he ask first? Was he not surprised by her expression at all? Why did he kill himself without even thinking about it? "Do you have anything else to say?" Gue Chungrun, "Fuck, I'm about to die, and you're only asking. Can't you be a little more attentive? Actually, I'm also a member of the Dongfang family. Back then, I was the bodyguard beside the patriarch." When the patriarch knew that something big was going to happen, he ordered me to bring the real ancient godly item away and find an opportunity to take revenge. I originally thought that the Tang family would be able to squeeze into the aristocratic family, but I didn't expect that Bai Qi's death would make Bai Cixin so crazy. Once this matter comes out, the Tang family will definitely have no hope. Gue Chungrun clutched onto his chest and said solemnly. Hearing that, Absolute Heaven said, Oh, you're just saying oh. Shouldn't you be moved by my actions? Then they would heal me as soon as possible and join hands to deal with the 5 great clans? Can't you follow the plot of the novel? I am about to die. Absolute Heaven wasn't interested in this kind of matter. It's fine as long as I get the dagger. He turned around and helped the 2 girls up. Gue Chungrun was greatly alarmed. What does this mean? Hey, are you not planning to save me? Gue Chungrun found it hard to believe. When the plot reaches this point in the novel, they would always save people. After all, they're all doing it for the same goal. They are all on the same side. Absolute Heaven said faintly, Why? I'm also a member of the Dongfang family. What does it have to do with me? Absolute Heaven asked curiously. PFFF. Gue Chungrun vomited a mouthful of blood and almost fainted. If she were to know that you killed a loyal guard of the Dongfang family, she will hate you for life. You can be at ease, she will not know. Absolute Heaven silently thought of Guan Yinxin's brother, and he seemed to have said the same thing. Gue Chungrun vomited another mouthful of blood. This Motherf Asterisk Kerr is not a human. If he appeared in a novel, he would definitely be a big villain. Furthermore, he would be a big villain that the protagonist would not be able to defeat. Gue Chungrun breathed heavily and wanted to take out his phone, but he didn't have the strength to do so. Can you do me a favor and help me take out my phone? I want to see if the novel has been updated or not. Absolute Heaven felt that this person was a bit interesting and said faintly, not helping. Gue Chungrun struggled to take out his phone, opened the last chapter of the novel, and flipped to the last chapter. Chapter 367. Seeing such a line of words, Gue Chingren's scalp went numb, his eyes widened, and he couldn't help but shout, "Sinin scum! I'm about to die, and you still want to break the chapter. Even if I become a ghost, I won't let you go. Trash author, Motherf asterisk cur." Along with the roar, Gue Chingren's face became even paler. The blood in his chest seemed to have found an exit and flowed out desperately. Gue Chungren edited a message and sent it out. Then, he crushed his phone and looked at the dark sky. "In my next life, I want to be an author and take liberties with you." It was somewhere. A young man took out his phone, glanced at it calmly, and then deleted it. He took a deep breath and pushed open the door in front of him. The layout of the room was very simple. There were bookshelves around the wall, and a faint fragrance of paper filled the room. A man dressed in gorgeous clothes stood by the window, holding a book in his right hand. The soft moonlight shone on his body, making him look particularly mysterious. Mission failed. The man continued to read the book after listening. He stretched out his slender fingers and gently flipped through it. The subtle sound of flipping echoed in the room. It was obviously very ordinary, but in this environment, it made people's mood unstable, as if there was a big stone pressing on their chest, making them unable to breathe. The man didn't leave. He bowed and waited for the order. The man dressed in gorgeous clothes continued to read the book, and the sound of flipping could be heard from time to time in the room. No one knew how long had passed. "Huh." The man closed the book and slowly turned around. He frowned slightly and asked, "Wulio, when did you come?" 2 hours ago. Wulio said lightly. The man nodded and asked in confusion, "Why didn't you call me?" "Wulio doesn't dare. Sai, you guys are so timid." The man seemed very helpless. Wulio complained in his heart, "We have to be timid in front of you. Otherwise, how can we set off your bravery?" The man sat in front of the desk, turned on the computer, logged into the QQ game, and was actually playing Link Link. "What's the matter so late?" the man asked with his chin propped up. "Gue Chungren failed. I already said that your plan won't work. These 3 giants are not under our control, so don't interfere with their affairs." The man said lightly. Wulio lowered his head and said fearfully, "Wulio is wrong. All right, it's not bad to teach you a lesson. Our mission is to monitor those reincarnated and transmigrators. In recent years, the space has been unstable, and reincarnated and transmigrators have come to our territory in droves, increasing the difficulty of our work." Thinking of this, the man seemed to be a little impatient. F***CK. The workload has increased, but the salary has not increased, and they even proposed all kinds of regulations. This kind of enterprise will go bankrupt sooner or later. Boss, recently, the people below have been complaining that the people who have been reborn and transmigrated are quite strong. Some unlucky ones who have not recovered their strength are easy for us to catch, but some lucky ones are very difficult to catch. Moreover, the compensation for work-related injuries is not high. Everyone's mood is a little unstable. I've already reported this matter to the headquarters, but they haven't replied yet, the man said while looking at the computer screen. Boss, then shouldn't we? Wu Lu probed. The man waved his hand. Let's pick some unlucky ones first. Keep an eye on the powerful ones and catch them all in one fell swoop. Yes. How was the situation in Long and City? The man asked curiously. Wu Lu revealed out a confident smile. Boss, don't worry. Last time, those people accidentally angered the child, so I arranged for them to retreat overnight. Soon after, I arranged for some other people to retreat, and they were easily deceived. The man nodded his head and said, 5 years ago, this man transmigrated over with 2 people, yet he has been staying at home all this time. Furthermore, he even managed to get together with Voidless Realm's Empress. This dog shit luck sure is good. There is also Chinya. This kind of luck with women is truly amazing. Wu Lu said gravely, Boss, although this boss has been staying at home all this time, I feel that he is related to a lot of things. The man let out a breath, then said faintly, then, let's increase his danger level by 1. The man could be seen opening up Word and searching for A-rank personnel. Yihua's name was within it. Copy. Then, paste his name into the S rank. And within the S rank, there were a few familiar faces. For example, Xiao Yi, Chun Xuanzong, and the others. And within the folder, there was also a danger level of SS. There was even an even higher danger level of SSS. For trash like Wei Chong and Lai Gu, their danger level was E rank. Zhu Tian's danger level was actually F rank. Yi Zizi's danger level was a bit higher, reaching B rank. Long Aoyan's danger level was even in the last place. His danger level was G rank. Tell our brothers to rest up for the time being. After the headquarters distribute the equipment and funds, we will capture them one by one. The man yawned and looked at the time. It is already 3 p.m. It is time to sleep. Yes, you can leave now. Right, there has been no news of Nangong Sini, who was arranged to stay by Xiao Yi's side for a long time. Go and check what is going on. Yes, Chun Xuanzong's side has to be arranged as well. Yes, this group of people belong to the government, and this place was also a branch office. Time and space branch office. As long as someone reincarnated or transmigrated, they would send people to capture them. Most of the people that transmigrated were very weak, and their strength had not recovered to their peak. The work was still rather easy. However, there were some people who were lucky, such as Xiao Yi and Chun Xuanzong, who were considered to have reincarnated with strength. Therefore, these people only needed to be monitored, and when the time is right, they would be captured crippled of their strength and sent back. However, Yi Huan never expected that his danger level was only A rank, and it was only now that his danger level was raised to S rank. I am a homicidal maniac. Can't you all be a bit more attentive? If I want to evaluate my danger level, I am definitely number 1. If you don't agree, then argue. No. If you don't agree, then fight. Zhu Tian sent the 2 women back to the staff dormitory, then went to report today's news. Yi Hua was originally sleeping, but after knowing that Zhu Tian came to report today's news, he immediately lost his sleepiness. Because Yi Hua wanted to teach them a lesson, then wait for them to come back with an apologetic gaze. Zhu Tian reported everything that happened tonight, and he even told Yi Hua some of his thoughts. Good. Very good. After Yi Hua heard what Zhu Tian said, he was extremely satisfied. Not only did I mess up the aristocratic family's election, I even caused the relationship between the aristocratic families to become even more tense. Zhu Tian, go ahead and do what you want. At most, they would only be guessing, but they do not have any evidence to prove that you are one of my people. Yi Hua was very excited. If this goes on, it won't be long before they surrender and return to Yi Hua. I still have my trump card, and the longevity fruit will definitely be able to make everyone go crazy. Although Yi Hua was furious, he didn't want to expose everything at once. After all, this was a rare opportunity to teach them a lesson. Chapter 368. Very good. I feel much more at ease now that you are in charge. Zhu Tian was terrified. Your honor's words are too serious. Doing things for your honor is the way of the heavens. Subordinate doesn't dare to be greedy. Yi Hua patted onto Zhu Tian's shoulder. All right, go back and properly comfort that woman. This subordinate understands. Yi Hua waved his hand, and Zhu Tian disappeared from the office. I can have a good sleep tonight. I'll see how they decide tomorrow. It was not so easy to be a good person. A good person had to go through 81 tribulations to become a Buddha. As for the bad guys, they only needed to lay down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha. Early morning in Voidless Realm, celestial mist lingered around. The environment was elegant, and it could be said to be a fairyland. Dongwang Baiji, who was in her bedroom, pursed her lips and turned her body. Her jade-like arm seemed like she wanted to hug someone, but in the end, she hugged nothing but air. Slowly opening her beautiful eyes, Yi Hua discovered that she was sleeping on the familiar imperial bed. Yi Hua let out a breath. I'm already used to Yi Hua sleeping beside me, and now that he is suddenly not here, I'm a bit not used to it. Your Majesty, the elders are already waiting in the main hall. A maid stood behind the curtain and said. Dongwang Baiji stood up, and the 4 maids hurriedly walked up to her and placed the emperor robe that was on the clothes rack onto Dongwang Baiji's body. After that, They prepared some clean water to wash up. As for the other two maids, they combed their hair into a bun, and finally, they put on the crown. The living empress appeared. Her beautiful face was filled with lofty majesty. Her beautiful eyes were calm, but there was a hint of sternness. The female attendants in the surroundings bowed, not daring to look directly at the empress's face, but they could also feel the empress's imposing aura. This was the correct way to activate Dongwang Baiji. Walking out of the sleeping quarters, a group of golden-robed and silver-armored figures follow behind. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. The sound resounded throughout Voidless Realm, and it was as if the sound was telling everyone in Voidless Realm that the Empress had woken up. At this moment, everyone who had woken up looked towards the highest mountain peak and kowtowed. Dongwang Baiji had already gotten used to this kind of lifestyle. She walked towards the palace with large strides, and on her way there, she enjoyed everyone kowtowing to her. He slowly walked up to the throne and stood on it without sitting down. Yuanda and the others, who were standing below, shouted in unison, "Greetings, Your Majesty. May the Empress live as long as the heavens." "All of you get up." Dongwang Baiji raised her jade-like arm, then sat down. "Thank you, Your Majesty." The dozen or so people stood up and lowered their heads slightly, not daring to look directly at the face of the Empress. "What's the matter so early in the morning?" Dongwang Baiji asked faintly. Yuanda and the others faltered. In the past, the Empress would never mention this. "Isn't it all because I was pampered by Yihua? For the past few days, I have basically been sleeping with Yihua until 10 in the morning. Therefore, she was very angry when she woke up." Xing Han cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, last night, 2 major events happened in the north. I hope Your Majesty can make a decision." Dongwang Baiji sighed lightly. Why did something happen again? Why didn't he have so many things to do in the past? He had only left home for 2 days. Could he still leave the house quietly? It must definitely be Yihua, that miser. "What is it now?" Dongwang Baiji asked faintly. Xian said respectfully, "Last night, the Guan family's young master was assassinated in his house. Coincidentally, the patriarchs of the 5 great clans were having a meeting and discovered the murderer. They chased after the murderer, but unexpectedly, they saw 2 of the aristocratic clans having a bloody battle. Both sides suffered heavy losses, and the murderer looked at the patriarchs of the 4 great clans before he died. This made Guan Tong think that the murderer must have been arranged by one of the 4 great clans." Dongwang Baiji, "Yuanda, say it again. Be more detailed." Dongwang Baiji said coldly, "What is going on? First it's the murderer, then it's the aristocratic clan's bloody battle, then it's the gays." Dongwang Baiji felt that her head was going to explode. If Yihua was able to see Dongwang Baiji's current state, he would definitely feel great. "Weren't you very arrogant when you left? If you have the ability, then stay outside for your entire life." Yuanda told Dongwang Baiji everything that happened. This caused Dongwang Baiji to be very angry. This Tang family, and by family, are really not obedient at all. I already said that private fights are not allowed, and they actually disregarded my words. At this moment, Yuquan, who was standing at the back, cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty, regarding the aristocratic clan's bloody battle, it seems like it was Tang Wushuang who sent people to the Tang family's mourning hall to create trouble, and that was why Bai Cixin brought people to attack Tang family." After hearing that, Dongwang Baiji said gravely, "Everyone, let's rest for an hour first. After an hour, we will continue discussing." Yes, in the past, Dongwang Baiji was very decisive, but ever since she got a man, she became very indecisive. It seems like she would listen to everything that Yihua said, and she would do whatever Yihua said. Now that Yihua wasn't around anymore, everyone felt that it was strange. However, I can still look for Qingya to discuss with her. After all, such a thing has never happened before. Arriving at Dongwang Li's courtyard, Qingya and Dongwang Li woke up very early, and Dongwang Li was currently wielding a sword that was as tall as a person. "Mommy," Dongwang Baiji shouted out, then pounced on her mother's embrace and gave her mother a kiss. Dong Wang Baiji stroked on her daughter's hair. Ali, continue to practice your sword. Mommy has something to discuss with Mommy Ching. Sigh, Mommy. You should go and look for Daddy. Daddy is very smart. He is able to solve Mommy's problem in an instant. Dong Wang Li was constantly thinking about Daddy and Mommy. Dong Wang Baiji said petulantly, "All right, Ali only cares about Daddy and doesn't even love Mommy anymore. How is that possible? Ali loves Mommy." Oh, after having a warm moment with her child, Dong Wang Baiji walked to the pavilion. With a smile on her face, Qinya poured a cup of water for the Empress. "What's wrong? Why do you look so gloomy this early in the morning?" Dong Wang Baiji drank the cup of bejeweled jade, immortal dew, then sighed and said, "Something happened again last night." Ah. Dong Wang Baiji told Qinya about what happened, and after listening to Dong Wang Baiji's explanation, Qinya's brows tightly wrinkled. "Qinya, do you think that Yi Hua is behind all of this?" Dong Wang Baiji asked curiously. Qinya shook her head. "I don't know either. Logically speaking, it is very normal for Tang and Bai family to fight with each other. Right now, the thing that is suspicious is that the culprit seems to have intentionally brought the 5 aristocratic families to the scene, allowing others to discover that Tang and Bai family were fighting with each other. Then, is such an action good or bad? Even if the aristocratic families don't know about it, the news would still spread today." Dong Wang Baiji voiced out the doubt that was in her heart. Qinya was also confused, then said gravely, "Right now, the most important thing is to calm down the situation. Don't let the aristocratic families start fighting with each other. Tang and Bai family should be punished." Dong Wang Baiji thought so too. "I want to go and take a look at the situation. I might be able to find some clues." Dong Wang Baiji snorted. "Do you think that the culprit is Yi Hua?" Qinya asked with a smile. Dong Wang Baiji clenched her teeth. "If it is really Yi Hua, I will bite him to death." "Baiji, isn't this a bit too light? You're only going to bite him to death?" Qinya said teasingly, then took a sip of tea. "What do you say then?" Qinya said faintly. "Make Yi Hua kneel on the keyboard." Chapter 369. I agree as well. Baiji, quickly go and look for him. Dong Wang Baiji went into a daze, then dragged Qinya along. "You come with me." Qinya smiled bitterly. "There's no need for that. No matter what, we are sisters who have gone through thick and thin together. And furthermore, we're going to join hands to deal with Yi Hua. But a lot of people know me." Qinya said. Yi Xiao and Chu He had seen me that night. "That's true." Qinya smiled and said, "Why don't I pretend to be your maid?" "Ah, is that okay? I am afraid that Yi Hua will teach me a lesson for using his beloved as a maid." Dong Wang Baiji smiled mischievously. Qinya pinched Dong Wang Baiji. "You would dare to tease me?" The two women immediately started messing around. Dong Wang Li, who was at the side, put down her sword and let out a breath. "Lady is really childish. This is the first time we see the Empress acting like this. So it seems that she is actually not much different from us." When Voidless Realm spread out the news of the Empress going on an inspection tour, everyone went into an uproar. The last time the Empress went on an inspection tour was 100 years ago. That time, it was because of the matter of Dongfang family secretly hiding an ancient godly item, and the one who went on an inspection tour was Dong Wang Baiji's father. After 100 years, the Empress of Voidless Realm went on an inspection tour again. The entire north immediately became filled with a solemn atmosphere, especially the family heads of Zijin City. They were all on tenterhooks, but they were also excited. Voidless Realm's Empress. My God, he had thought that he wouldn't be able to see her in his lifetime, but he never expected that he would get the chance now. At Zijin City's international airport, a Boeing 747 landed, and the passengers who were waiting for the plane stood up one after another to size up the plane. Because there were strange and lifelike divine beasts painted on the body of the plane. This is the first time I saw a plane with tattoos on it. This is too strange. However, the plane drove towards a private airport, and black vehicles drove into the airport one after another. Everyone was discussing just what kind of big shot is this? Could it be that he is the president of some country? Right now, Qinya was disguised as Dong Wang Baiji's maid, and her appearance was completely changed. No one was able to see through her disguise. Looking at the 20-plus phantom cars that were parked at the side, Qinya smiled and said, Baiji, isn't this a little too big? Qinya, this kind of formation isn't too big. After all, I am the Empress. How can I not have a formation? Dongwang Baiji smiled lightly. Dongwang Baiji was no longer wearing her imperial robe and had changed into a very professional CEO outfit. Qing was just like a little secretary, and she was actually wearing black stockings. This was the temptation of black silk that Yi Hua yearned for even in his dreams. It was a pity that Yi Hua would not be able to see it. Qing nodded her head. As a big shot, I must definitely have an imposing manner when I go out. Thinking back then, Yi Hua's imposing manner when he went out was definitely very impressive, and the title of Act Tough King reverberated like thunder. The first ones to walk down from the stairs were Voidless Realms guards, and the guards were dressed in black suits were standing guard at the side. After them were Yuanda and the others. Today it could be said that the entire Voidless Realm had moved out. The scale was unprecedented. When Dongwang Baiji appeared at the entrance of the passenger plane, everyone felt a sense of pressure. This woman's aura is so powerful. Qingyu was standing behind Dongwang Baiji, playing the role of a secretary. Qingyu was even wearing a pair of glasses. If Yihua were to see Qingyu's current appearance, he would definitely not be able to hold himself back. Sometimes, Lai Gu would say a lot of things. A woman must be treated, and only when she becomes obedient will she know how powerful you are. Yu Quan, go and inform the people from the aristocratic families. The people from the aristocratic families have to have a good talk with them today. Dongwang Baiji decided, I must definitely deal with this matter properly. If not, these problems will only appear one after another. Yu Quan bowed and said, Your Majesty, be at ease. In order to not delay Your Majesty's time, I have already arranged everything. Everyone is currently waiting for Your Majesty's appearance. All right, let's set off then. Yes. The convoy set off towards Zijin International Hotel, which was Guantong's territory. While driving, the passers-by looked at the convoy curiously. There was no lack of nouveau riche in Zijin City, but this kind of formation was still very rare. Half an hour later, the convoy stopped at the entrance of Zijin International Hotel. The doorman immediately ran over to open the door, but he was stopped by Voidless Realms Imperial Guard. How can you open the Empress's door? Yuanda hurriedly ran over and opened the door. Dongwang Baiji got off the car and sized up the Empress. Qing got off the car as well. Dongwang Baiji didn't disguise her beauty. Her stunning appearance caused people to be dumbstruck, and the pressure that was being emitted from her body caused people to not dare to look straight at her. Let's go. No one came to welcome them, because today they weren't here to have a heart-to-heart talk. They were here to judge a case. Yu Quan asked everyone to wait at the top floor. The group of people took the elevator and arrived at the top floor. The top floor was originally a banquet area, where some high-class banquets were held. But now, all of the luxurious facilities had been moved away, and there was only a throne placed on the rostrum, which gave off a solemn atmosphere. And below the throne stood around 100 people, and all of them were the family heads of Zijin City, as well as the people from the surrounding cities. Of course, there were also the 5 aristocratic families. Everyone didn't dare to whisper or discuss with each other, and their faces were all calm. Of course, there were also some who were excited. After all, they were going to be able to see the Empress soon. However, to Tang family and Bai family, today was the day where their family's fate would be decided. In actuality, they could already guess the result. Xiao, he was very nervous as well. He had participated in the crime yesterday, and he didn't know what kind of punishment he would receive. If he killed the person, he would have to accept the punishment. If he didn't kill the person, he would have to accept the punishment as well. I'm not willing to accept this. Tang Wushuang was still wearing a suit today, and a white ribbon was tied on his head. No matter what, I must get justice for my beloved wife today. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao were naturally present as well. The husband and wife didn't have much fear. Since we have already done it, then we should be prepared to accept the punishment. The 5 family heads stood at the front of the group. Guantong lost his beloved son yesterday, and his hair, actually grew white. From this, it could be seen just how sad and indignant he was. Furthermore, he had also become skinny. When he looked at the other four family heads, his gaze was definitely not friendly. Furthermore, under anger, Guan Tong did the same thing as Bai Cixin. Chen Xuanzong was also present at the scene. Last night, he didn't know that something happened, and he only heard about it this morning. The reason why his mood was so good was because Xiao Yi was also present at the scene. When the Empress arrives, this Xiao Yi will definitely not be able to bear the consequences. Even the heavens are helping me. Within the crowd, there was a stranger that everyone didn't recognize. Perhaps he isn't from Zijin City, and thus, no one thought too much about it. After all, the reason why they came here today was to see the Empress. However, this stranger was precisely Yihua. From Zhu Tian's ears, he heard that Baiji was coming to uphold justice. As a husband, he naturally had to come and see his wife's performance. Perhaps he might even be able to swindle her a bit. Who asked you all to act cool? Hearing the sound of the elevator door, Yihua immediately looked towards the elevator door. Chapter 370. The sound of high heels suddenly rang out and echoed within the spacious banquet hall. Although it was just a simple sound, it deeply entered everyone's heart, as if that foot was stepping on everyone's head. Just this sound alone made everyone prostrate themselves in admiration. As expected of Voidless Realm's Empress, we can only kneel and lick her. A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth. So this Baiji also likes to act cool. I like women who act cool. After you all admit defeat, I will let you all live a life where you can't leave my bed. Dongwang Baiji's figure gradually appeared in everyone's line of sight, and all of the family heads couldn't help but gasp. Is this a fairy? No. Saying that she is a fairy is blasphemy to the Empress. The Empress's appearance can no longer be described with words. The word beautiful is an insult to the Empress. At this moment, some of the family heads couldn't help but think of that woman from the auction. Her beauty is definitely comparable to the Empress. Dongwang Baiji swept her cold gaze across everyone, and everyone immediately lowered their heads, not daring to look straight at her. The Empress has arrived. Everyone squatted down and shouted, "Eternal glory to the Empress." Yihua, who was within the crowd, had no choice but to squat down. If not, they would definitely look down on him. "Get up," Dongwang Baiji said faintly. Yihua stood up and looked at the woman beside Dongwang Baiji. Why does she look so familiar? A red light flashed past Yihua's eyes. So it's my Qinya. I told you to wear stockings, but you refused to wear them even if I beat you to death. I'm not by your side, but you are still wearing stockings in front of so many people. I will remember this, and in the future, I will put stockings on your head. Why does it feel so weird to put stockings on your head? Dongwang Baiji walked onto the rostrum and sat on the throne. All of the imperial guards stood guard around her, while Yuan De and the others stood 5 meters away from Dongwang Baiji to prevent anyone from sneak attacking her. After all, if she is not in Voidless Realm, the Empress's life will be threatened. Xiao Yi felt that the Empress in front of him was very beautiful. Even when he was an immortal emperor, he had never seen such a beautiful woman before. Such a beauty is very rare in the world. If I am able to bring her into my room, it would truly be a wonderful thing. However, I only dare to think about it in my heart. Chen Xuanzong sighed. However, his heart could no longer contain any other women. Only Qinya existed in his heart. Right now, Tang Wushuang didn't have the mood to look at the Empress's appearance. He only wanted to seek justice for his beloved wife. Wang Debao couldn't help but compare the Empress with his beloved wife. Although the Empress is prettier than my wife has unlocked a lot of difficult moves, so my wife is still the best. If you are to find out about this, he would definitely feel disdain. I will allow them to completely unlock any technique, and then give me the most comfortable enjoyment. Actually, this was also the first time that the clan heads of the 5 great clans had seen the Empress in all her glory. They felt that she was much more beautiful than in the video. Back then, When Qinya and Dongwang Baiji were fighting against Zhu Tian, someone took a video and uploaded it onto the cultivation forum, causing a huge sensation. It was just that Qinya was wearing a set of ancient godly armor that covered a wide area, so her appearance could not be seen clearly. I have come here today to settle the matter that has happened over the past few days. Dongwang Baiji's opening speech was very simple and concise, and she did not ask about Dongwang Baiji's well-being at all. This made Yi Hua acknowledge that instead of making any opening speech, it would be better to directly get to the point. Everyone present shouted out, "We respectfully obey my Empress's sacred words." Yi Hua suddenly had a bold idea. He immediately rushed forward, pressed the Empress under his body, and kissed her madly. "I want to let these people know that the Empress is my woman. However, I will first endure it for now. I will let this group of salted fishes know about it in the future." Dongwang Baiji waved her hand, and Yuquan took a step forward and shouted out, "Bai Tzi Xin, Wang Debao, Xiao Yi, Tang Wushuang." Along with Yuquan's shout, for people slowly walked out from the crowd and stood in the middle of the crowd. Still not kneeling down, Yuquan shouted out. Tang Wushuang kneeled down very decisively. The other three people also slowly kneeled down. Under the enormous machine that was Voidless Realm, they could only submit, nothing else. Dongwang Baiji said faintly, "I will give each of you a chance to explain yourselves." The four people below lowered their heads and seemed to be thinking about how to explain themselves. Everyone was looking at them, and they knew that today's matter would definitely not be settled so easily. Since the Empress asked you all to explain yourselves, you all just have to explain yourselves. Yuquan shouted out coldly. The consequences of pretending to be mute were even more severe. Tang Wushuang was the first to speak, but when he spoke, everyone was shocked. This was clearly a woman. Thinking back then, Tang Wushuang was also a graceful and elegant young man, and could be said to be a young man with a purple gold jade face. I didn't expect that today Tang Wushuang would be like this. This really makes people sigh endlessly. Your Majesty, Bai Tzi Xin is cruel and merciless. She broke into the Tang residence in the middle of the night and killed our disciples. He didn't even let my beloved wife off, and Wang Debao and Xiao Yi, these two accomplices. I hope the Empress will uphold justice for me. Even if I, Tang Wushuang, am guilty, what did my wife do wrong? Bai Tzi Xin snorted coldly. Your wife is not wrong. What did my little brother do wrong? When you killed my brother, you never thought that this day would come. Bai Tzi Xin, your brother committed suicide by jumping off a building. What does that have to do with me? My wife was killed by you. Many people can prove that. Right now, both of Tang Wushuang's eyes were completely red, and even his voice had become hoarse. It could be seen how big of a blow his beloved wife's death was to him. If he didn't insult my younger brother, will my younger brother commit suicide? You are twisting words and forcing logic. Enough! Dongwang Baiji shouted out coldly. Tang Wushuang and Bai Tzi Xin lowered their heads. Have you all forgotten about my Voidless Realm's command? Or are you all treating my Voidless Realm's words as farts? Dongwang Baiji released out the power of her bloodline, instantly intimidating everyone. Even the family heads of the 5 influential families were trembling in fear, let alone the other small families. Yi Hua admired Baiji's methods very much. Sometimes, one should use force to suppress others. Baiji could be considered to have passed the test, and Qinya didn't give any evaluation. We don't dare, the 4 people said in unison. Dongwang Baiji snorted coldly and gradually released out her killing intent. Don't dare? But you all dare. Your Majesty, it was Tang Wushuang who provoked us first. Bai Tzi Xin hurriedly explained. Tang Wushuang said, Your Majesty, although I am in the wrong, he killed my brother-in-law and my beloved wife. Just because he provoked us? He is just looking for an excuse. Transvestite Tang, did you eat sh*t this morning? Your mouth stinks. Wang Debao couldn't help but shouted out. Yuquan shouted out gravely. Wang Debao, pay attention to your words. Don't disgust the Honorable Your Majesty. Yes, yes. Wang Debao panicked. Just now, I was just being straightforward. Chapter 371. Xiao Yi, what is your motive? Dongwang Baiji suddenly asked Xiao Yi. In actuality, this was what Qingya wanted to ask. This Xiao Yi's wife was hounded to death by Yi Hua subordinates, and right now, he was helping someone else to kill Tang Wushuang's wife. What does this count as? Xiao Yi's behavior made Qingya a bit disappointed. To quarrel with her husband just because of him, it doesn't seem to be worth it. If Yi Hua were to know what Qingya was thinking, he would definitely scold her. Now that he knew he was wrong, what had he done back then? I'm your husband. Even if I become the enemy of everyone, you have to stand behind me and support me silently. Xiao Yi took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Tang Wushuang tried to kill me back then, so I want to kill him. Yet another person who does not place this empress in his eyes. Dongwang Baiji said coldly. Xiao Yi quickly explained, Your Majesty, Xiao Yi wouldn't dare, but this is a rare opportunity, so I have to gamble. Then, how did you feel when you saw an innocent woman die? Dongwang Baiji asked faintly. In actuality, this was the question that Qingya wanted to know. Yi Hua, who was within the crowd, naturally knew that Xiao Yi was not a good person. Qingya, you are really stupid. Xiao Yi's expression slightly changed. Quan Anrong's death reminded him of his wife, but for the future of the Xiao family, he had to do this. Xiao Yi calmly said, I don't feel anything. Qingya, who was standing at the back, revealed a disappointed expression. Xiao Yi's way of doing things was no different from Yi Hua's subordinates, killing someone else's woman. I suddenly feel that sometimes Yi Hua is right. Perhaps it was really his fault. Dongwang Baiji nodded her head, then let Yu Quan announce their punishment. Yu Quan said to the four of them, I will now carry out your punishment, and you can only accept it. Otherwise, bear the consequences. Yes. The four of them kowtowed and listened to the coming punishment. Yu Quan said faintly, Tang family and by family went against Voidless Realm's order and had a bloodbath in private. From now on, you are not allowed to run for the position of an aristocratic family. The scene was in an uproar. The consequences of the fight were so serious. This was too exaggerated. Of course, Dongwang Baiji had to punish Voidless Realm severely. This matter was related to Voidless Realm's face, and what they did was equivalent to slapping Voidless Realm's face. How could Dongwang Baiji possibly let Voidless Realm off lightly? Bai Cixin and Tang Wushuang thought that this was the only punishment, and they let out a sigh of relief, then said in unison, Thank you, Your Majesty, for not killing us. Yu Quan shouted, I haven't finished yet. This is the first crime. Everyone, Bai Cixin and Tang Wushuang hurriedly lowered their heads. Through Voidless Realm's evaluation, the three family heads are not suitable to control ancient godly items. In order to avoid harming commoners, the three family heads' ancient godly items will be taken back. Yu Quan's following words caused everyone to be shocked. Take back the ancient godly item. This was too overbearing, too unreasonable. After all, someone had risked his life to obtain this ancient godly item. How could he just hand it over just like that? Everyone was watching the movements of the three family heads. Xiao Yi couldn't believe it. He had to take back his Xin Yuan sword just because he was involved in the aristocratic family competition. They were simply robbers. This was clearly an excuse. I Xiao Yi am not convinced. Bai Cixin slowly stretched out her palm, and the 9-story demon tower appeared in her hand. Black fog immediately swirled around it. Yu Quan opened his palm, and the 9-story demon tower landed on Yu Quan's hand. Although it was just a blink of an eye, this caused everyone to become gloomy. They had experienced the power of Voidless Realm. If I tell you to hand over the ancient godly item, you have to hand it over. Bai Cixin's choice was very wise. Tang Wushuang, Yu Quan shouted. Tang Wushuang explained, During the fight yesterday, I lost my ancient godly item. Lost. Everyone present didn't believe it. Tang Wushuang definitely hid it. Didn't you hug such an important thing to sleep with, and you actually lost it? Who are you trying to bluff? Tang Wushuang, if you dare to bluff the Empress again, Everyone in your Tang family will have to die. Yuquan let out a murderous aura. This Tang Wushuang is too unreasonable. If I hand over the ancient godly item right now, I will still be able to keep my life. Tang Wushuang was greatly startled and said in fright, Your Majesty, this lowly one doesn't dare to speak a single lie. Yesterday, my beloved wife was injured, and at that time, my mind wasn't clear. I don't know where the ancient godly item went. Your Majesty, please believe in my words. Bai Cixin snorted. Your Majesty, you mustn't believe in Tang Wushuang's words. He just wanted to keep it for himself. Bai Cixin, don't spout nonsense. You know what you were doing. Bai Cixin sneered. Yuquan looked towards Dongwang Baiji. Dongwang Baiji said faintly, Tang Wushuang, if I find out that you are lying, I will definitely not forgive you. A mirror could be seen appearing in Dongwang Baiji's hand. Everyone was puzzled. Dongwang Baiji said coldly, This is an ancient godly item, mirror of truth. It is able to display the image in one's mind. Tang Wushuang, this is the last time I am asking you. If I find out that you are lying, this is a crime worthy of extermination. Tang Wushuang doesn't dare to lie to your Majesty. Tang Wushuang's insistence made everyone believe him. At this moment, only an idiot would deny it. All right. Along with Dongwang Baiji raising her hand, the mirror of truth appeared in front of Tang Wushuang. Tang Wushuang looked at himself in the mirror, then slowly closed his eyes and searched for the memory of last night. As expected, an image appeared in the mirror. When Tang Wushuang saw that his beloved wife was injured, he hurriedly ran over. The ancient godly item in his hand indeed fell onto the ground, then mysteriously disappeared. The image disappeared. Dongwang Baiji kept the mirror of truth. This Tang Wushuang didn't lie, but where did the ancient godly item go? This is too strange. Xiao Yi. Yuquan shouted out towards the depressed Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi was struggling in his heart. If he were to hand over Xianyuan's sword, Xiao family's strength would definitely suffer a great loss. Furthermore, Xiao family's strength would also stop at the level of the family. Voidless Realm is trying to cut off all of my thoughts. Yuquan shouted out gravely once again, Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi slowly raised his head and asked, Your Majesty, Xianyuan's sword is mine. Before Xiao Yi could finish speaking, Yuquan interrupted him. Hand over Xianyuan's sword. The atmosphere of the scene immediately became depressed. Xiao Yi's face alternated between white and red, and a struggle could be seen on his face. Since Tang family, and by family's ancient godly item has already been taken away, the accomplice's ancient godly item must definitely be taken back. This was also Dongwang Baiji's intention. In the end, they only have themselves to blame. Yi Hua, who was within the crowd, felt that there was nothing wrong with this kind of punishment. However, this punishment was still too light. What is the point of keeping a subordinate who doesn't obey orders? Because sooner or later, that subordinate will definitely rebel against you. After all, he once didn't put you in his eyes. Especially the current Xiao Yi. Although he was struggling in his heart, but thinking about it carefully, what was he struggling for? He was struggling to obey Voidless Realm. Chapter 372. Looking at Tang Wushuang, he immediately handed over the sword. It's just that Xiao Yi regarded Xianyuan's sword too seriously. Back then, even though the situation was so urgent, Xiao Yi still did not hand over Xianyuan's sword. And because of this, he even fell out with Tang Wushuang. Xianyuan's sword was Xiao Yi, and asking Xiao Yi to hand over Xianyuan's sword was equivalent to handing over his soul. If a person were to even sell his own soul, could he still be considered a complete person? Everyone looked at Xiao Yi. Could it be that this person is planning to fight against Voidless Realm with his own strength? If that's the case, I am thinking too much. Xiao Yi could be heard saying softly, I am killing for the prosperity of my family. Is there anything wrong with that? Everyone was indeed very shocked. This is questioning Voidless Realm's prestige. If Xiao Yi doesn't shed a layer of skin and go out, no one will believe it. Yuanda shouted out angrily. Impudent! To actually dare to question the Empress's order. Did I say anything wrong? This Xianyuan sword is something that I, Xiao Yi, exchanged with my life, and you, voidless realm, want me to hand it over with just a single sentence. I refuse to accept this. Xiao Yi immediately took out Xianyuan's sword. This action caused everyone to take a step back and look at Xiao Yi, who had lost his rationality vigilantly. To actually take out a weapon in front of the Empress, Yi Hua rejoiced that he fired Xiao Yi. Having a servant like Xiao Yi is just a loss of face. Dongwang Baiji was much stronger than Xiao Yi, let alone Qinya. A green rope suddenly appeared and hooked around Xiao Yi. Xiao Yi let out a painful scream, and the Xianyuan sword in his hand fell onto the ground. At this moment, all of the family heads looked at Xianyuan's sword that was on the ground. If I were to hold on to Xianyuan's sword, how great would that be? However, they were just thinking about it. Even if I have the life to hold on to it, I won't be able to enjoy it. Yuquan stretched out his palm and kept Xianyuan's sword. Dongwang Baiji said faintly, Xiao family Xiao, he has no respect for this empress and even challenged my dignity. Remove the title of your family and cripple all of your cultivation. Removing the title of his family was already cruel, but to cripple all of his cultivation, what was the difference between this and killing him? For powerful people, losing their power was more painful than killing them. It was like a billionaire going bankrupt overnight. Those who could not bear it would collapse immediately. And Xiao Yi was still thinking about increasing his cultivation so that he could revive his wife. Hearing Voidless Realm's punishment, Xiao Yi struggled and shouted out, I refuse to accept this. You have no right to cripple me. Dongwang Baiji snorted coldly. In the northern cultivation world, I, the Empress, am the one with the highest authority, and my words are the law. I don't need to explain anything to anyone. Looking at Dongwang Baiji's cold and arrogant expression, Yuhua suddenly felt like teasing Dongwang Baiji. Dongwang Baiji is even more pretentious than me. At the same time, Dongwang Baiji was also telling everyone that they better behave themselves. Voidless Realm's dignity must not be trampled on by anyone. Qinya, who was at the back, didn't say anything to stop him. No, Xiao Yi cried out. Xiao Yi regretted telling Qinya those things, and he regretted leaving them. If those things didn't happen, they would definitely help him now. Then he could keep the Xianyuan sword. How regretful. These were all stupid decisions. It wasn't shameful to ride on someone's coattails. What was shameful was that they still had to maintain their dignity after doing so. Dongwang Baiji slapped her palm towards the bound Xiao Yi, and her palm landed solidly onto Xiao Yi's chest. Puff! Xiao Yi's eyes went wide, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. The spiritual energy in his body had been scattered. It was useless to gather it again. Without spiritual qi, he would at most be stronger than an ordinary person. Voidless Realm is going too far. Xiao Yi was burning with rage, and he continued to anger Dongwang Baiji. Pull him down, Dongwang Baiji said faintly. Whether he would live or die would depend on the quality of his body. It was not impossible for a normal person like Xiao Yi to fight 100 battles, but he would lose half his life. The truth was that ordinary people had their own benefits. With the power of the Xiao clan's businesses, they could eat for dozens of lifetimes. However, this was not the life Xiao Yi wanted. Returning to the immortal Emperor realm was his goal, but now it was impossible. A few guards carried Xiao Yi to the side and pressed him down on a bench. Iron rods appeared in their hands. It was not a wooden stick. Ha! The iron rod fiercely landed on Xiao Yi's butt, instantly tearing his pants. One had to know that the executor was no ordinary person. When Xiao Yi tasted the power of the rod, he suddenly felt dizzy and couldn't breathe. And this was only the first strike. Ha! Another rod landed, and Xiao Yi coughed out a mouthful of blood. It was only 2 strikes, and Xiao Yi's eyes were already beginning to roll back. Everyone swallowed their saliva. They were all shocked by Voidless Realm's means. Yihua wanted to give extra marks to Baiji. If it was a passing mark just now, then it would be 80 marks right now. Killing the chicken to warn the monkey is indeed not bad. You did not let me dote on you in vain. Seeing Qinya, who was at the side, Yihua let out a sigh of relief. Dongwang Baiji was the empress, and she had to do this. The situation forced her to do this, while Qinya didn't. This was the biggest difference between the two of them. If Qinya were to become the empress of Voidless Realm, her way of thinking would be different. However, who knows? Perhaps Qinya had a different style. Maybe Qinya was compassionate and used words to move Xiao Yi. Pa, pa, pa. The beating continued, and no one dared to beg for mercy. Xiao Yi was no longer feeling anything, and right now, he was lying on the bench like a dead person. Blood was flowing out from the corner of Xiao Yi's mouth, and a pool of blood had formed on the ground. After 100 strikes, Xiao Yi's but was already lacerated, and it was a ghastly sight. Your Majesty, the execution is complete. The guard reported respectfully. Dongwang Baiji said, inform the family members to come and pick them up. Yes. Shunan and Yuqi were both waiting in the side hall. The side hall was filled with the family members of the family masters. Of course, there were also some family masters who were not qualified. For example, Qinya's father, Qing Huaxian, was also present. He didn't come on his own, but was summoned by Yi Xiao. The guard opened the door to the side hall, and all the family members were stunned. Is Xiao Yi's family here? Come and get him. The guard shouted coldly. Shunan and Yuqi had a bad feeling about this. What did he mean by take people away? They hurried to follow him. When they saw their husband being carried out, Shunan and Yuqi were shocked. Last night, Xiao Yi went back and discussed with Shunan, but Shunan didn't expect the consequences to be so serious. If Xiao Yi hadn't resisted just now, he would have only lost the ancient godly item and his family's title. He would still have his strength, but unfortunately, he had courted death. Nazuono bring. Shunan hurriedly checked her husband's pulse. Seeing that Xiao Yi still had a trace of life left in him, Shunan stuffed a pill into Xiao Yi's mouth, then carried her husband and left. In actuality, what Xiao Yi felt the most fortunate about was that he had a wife like Shunan, who was willing to do anything for him. When the family members in the side hall saw that Xiao Yi was beaten into a dog's leash, they immediately felt that the situation wasn't good. They hoped that their husband wouldn't cause any trouble. This act tough King Xiao, he must have been acting tough inside. If not, how could he have ended up in such a miserable state? Chapter 373. The banquet hall was dead silent, and no one dared to even breathe loudly. Xiao Yi was one of the best in the family, and in just an instant, a ferocious dragon turned into a snake. Xin Yuan's sword was gone, and his cultivation was even crippled. This allowed everyone to witness the cold side of Voidless Realm, or rather, the iron-blooded side of the Empress. One must know that not long ago, the Empress was crowned with the title of heroine, and she disregarded everything to save the South from crisis. This made everyone think that the Empress was a kind person, and she would definitely not kill people. However, everyone misunderstood the Empress's actions wrongly. Dongwang Baiji was not a kind person. She was just carrying the prestige of Voidless Realm on her back. This was different from Qinya's benevolence. In actuality, Yihua already knew about Qinya's benevolence. In the past, Yihua already had this kind of inclination, but he didn't take it to heart. He just treated it as pity for a nobody. However, Qinya actually spoke up for Xiao Yi. This made Yihua angry, really angry, the kind that can't be coaxed. Right now, Tang Wushuang, Bai Cixin, and Wang Debao were trembling with fear. They were very surprised by Xiao Yi's punishment. Even an accomplice ended up like this, and the mastermind is still being dragged out to be beheaded? Yu Quan continued to pronounce the sentence. Remove the titles of Tang family and Bai family. If you use your identity to kill people in the future, you will definitely be severely punished. Thinking back to Xiao Yi's appearance just now, the three didn't dare to resist in the slightest. Thank you, Your Majesty, for your magnanimity. We will solemnly obey Your Majesty's orders. The three hurriedly kowtowed and thanked. This made everyone exclaim in admiration. Even after being punished to such an extent, they still have to kowtow and thank. Yihua felt that he had to add another 5 points to Baiji. Not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad. If only Qinya was half as outstanding as Baiji, I wouldn't have to worry so much. Dongwang Baiji waved her hand and signaled the three to move to the side. Everyone sighed. The mastermind was still rational, but the accomplice was too arrogant, and he ended up being beaten up badly. However, no matter what, he was still the act tough king. If he were to lose face in such a situation, how could he be willing to continue living in the underworld? At the very least, he should have said a few words and let everyone see the act tough king's attitude. In the end, the empress was not a kind person at all. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao retreated to the back of the crowd. Wang Debao held his wife's hand tightly and comforted her. Exhaustion could be seen on Bai Cixin's charming face. So many years of hard work, and in just a single sentence from Voidless Realm, all of her hard work had turned into bubbles. It had to be said that Wang Debao, this prodigal, was very lucky. At least when he was present, Xiao Yi's situation didn't happen. Wife, since there's no place for us in the north, let's go to the south. Wang Debao said in a low voice as he gently hugged his wife's waist. Bai Cixin turned around and looked at her husband. She seemed very puzzled. Wang Debao was very proud. This was the first time he saw his wife look at him like this. Honey, I've been your husband for so long. Naturally, I've learned a few tricks. Debao, thank you. Bai Cixin gently leaned into her husband's embrace. At a time like this, she could only rely on her husband. Wang Debao kissed his wife's forehead. Silly, we are husband and wife. When she heard her husband's affectionate words, Bai Cixin hugged him even tighter. Wang Debao felt that he would definitely unlock a few more difficult moves when he returned tonight. Hang upside down right now. Tang Wuxuan was also thinking about going to the south to develop. After all, he couldn't stay in the north anymore. There was another person in the group who was secretly delighted, and that person was Chun Xuanzong. When he saw Xiao Yi being beaten half to death, he felt extremely refreshed in his heart, and he wished that Xiao Yi would be beaten to death. However, this wasn't enough to dispel his hatred. Back then, Xiao Yi killed his entire family, so I have to kill his entire family as well. Right now, Xiao Yi's Xianyuan sword was gone, and his cultivation was gone as well. Right now, he was just like a fish on the chopping board. Dongwang Baiji let out a sigh of relief. This family's matter can be considered to be settled. Right now, it's time to settle the family's matter. Just as Dongwang Baiji was about to ask, Yi Xiao suddenly knelt down and said gravely, Your Majesty, my son Yitai has already been missing for a long time. I reckon that he has already been poisoned. Right now, the suspect is Chu family's son, Chu Bai. Chu didn't expect that Yi Xiao would actually play such a dirty trick and shouted out, Yi Xiao, my son has already said it very clearly. He didn't kill him at all. Who knows if your son said anything or not? Perhaps he might have killed my son and Sage Doctor and taken that beauty for himself. Bullshit. Dongwang Baiji was bewildered. Why did something like this happen again? Speak clearly. Chu cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, let my son speak. He will be able to speak more clearly. Approved. Qinya, who was at the back, knew what happened. That day I indeed didn't kill them, and now they have gone missing again. Could it be that it's the jealous king again? The possibility of it being the jealous king is very high. That stingy fellow, he definitely hid behind me and got rid of me. Although Qinya didn't have any evidence, Qinya's intuition told her that it was definitely Yihua who did it. At the family area outside, the Imperial Guard appeared once again. This caused all of the women to be worried to death, and they were afraid that someone would be called to bring Chu Bai back. Chu family's Chu Bai. All of the family members were startled. I didn't expect that even the people from the aristocratic families would be called over. Something big must have definitely happened. Chu Bai kept his folding fan, took a deep breath, then followed the Imperial Guard into the banquet hall. After kneeling down in front of the Empress, Chu Bai recounted everything that had happened. Right now, we need to find those two women and have them testify against each other. Yi Xiao said faintly. Chu He snorted coldly. Where are you going to find them? Although I didn't manage to find those two women, I did manage to find their father. Yi Xiao's words were practically digging his own grave. Another no. Zuono a man with a woman. Dongwang Baiji still didn't know about what happened that day, and thus she approved of it. The Imperial Guard went to summon people again, and the people in the family area felt that something was wrong. Qing Huaxian. There were a lot of people who didn't recognize Qing Huaxian. After all, he wasn't someone from the circle. However, right now, Qing Huaxian was very excited. He was completely unaware of what was going to happen, and he was still excited. That's me. The Empress summons me. Everyone was filled with envy. The Empress summons me. How lucky is that? Carrying along a nervous yet excited mood, Qing Huaxian followed behind the Imperial Guard. He is obviously a big boss, but right now, he is acting like a young man who has never seen the world. When he walked into the banquet hall, Qing Huaxian swallowed his saliva. This scene is too big. Those family heads that I normally wouldn't be able to see are all standing at the side and looking at me. And the family head that is standing at the very front, oh my God, my luck is really too good. And the woman on the rostrum, oh my God, she is so beautiful. She is so imposing. When Qingya heard that Yi Xiao was going to call her father, her expression immediately became bad. And when she saw her father walking in, she didn't know what to say. Chapter 374. But because of what happened that day, he actually called his father over. It was really hateful. Qing Huaxian could be seen trembling with fear as he stood in the middle, curiously observing. Qingya hurriedly told Dongwang Baiji about Qing Huaxuan's identity. After knowing that the man in front of her was Qingya's father, Dongwang Baiji expressed that she understood. Why aren't you paying your respects after seeing the Empress? Yuquan said indifferently. Although he spoke very calmly, there was still a wave of pressure that swept over, causing Qing Huaxian to feel even more pressure. Forget it, Dongwang Baiji said faintly. There was an uproar. They didn't know why the Empress would let it go. However, Qing Huaxian did not think like that. The person in front of him is the Empress. He definitely has to kneel down. He knelt with a thud. Greetings, Your Majesty. Dongwang Baiji felt helpless. Qingya, your father is too radical. Qingya knew that her father wanted to curry favor with Dongwang Baiji. All right, get up and tell me what you know. Qing Huaxian told the story of how Sage Doctor came to their house that night, and then brought his two daughters out of the house. In the end, Chu Bai sent his two daughters home. Where are your two daughters now? Yi Xiao asked. Of course Qing Huaxian knew about it. In that leisure bar in Long City. However, he was interrupted by Dongwang Baiji. Dongwang Baiji said faintly, I understand. You can leave now. Yi Xiao said in a deep voice, but we haven't asked clearly yet. Qing Huaxian seemed to have felt that his daughter had gotten into trouble, and he hurriedly knelt down and kowtowed. Your Majesty, please spare my life. Although my daughter is naughty, she is not to the extent of getting into trouble. There must definitely be some misunderstanding. Looking at her father's sudden action, Qingya was filled with guilt. All these years, she didn't like her father marrying two women and felt that it was unfair to her mother. However, seeing how her father was acting, Qingya felt that she had misunderstood her father. Although her father was a bit snobbish, deep down in his bones, he still cared about her and her sister. All right, this Empress understands. You can leave first, Dongwang Baiji said again. As for Qing Huaxian, he explained while retreating, saying that his daughter would not be a murderer, and even if she had killed someone, it would be because he, as a father, did not discipline his daughter well, and he was willing to take the blame for his daughter. As a father, Qing Huaxian received everyone's affirmation. When Dongwang Baiji heard the news that Qingya sent over, she was a bit surprised. However, she still said, Yi Xiao, since you want to find those two women so badly, this Empress will fulfill your wish. One of them is here. Yi Xiao was overjoyed. Thank you, Your Majesty. Everyone was waiting for the Empress to speak, but the female attendant behind her took a step forward. His appearance slowly changed, and when his true appearance was revealed, everyone present was dumbfounded. Chun Xuanzong felt as if he was struck by lightning. Qinya had actually become the Empress's maid. How is this possible? That Long Outyin is even more unworthy of Qinya. When these two women stood together, even the sun and moon would have to hide. The corner of Yi Zhao's mouth twitched a bit. This woman was actually the Empress's personal maid. Looking at the current situation, many people understood. No wonder those people were so respectful during the auction. So this woman had the support of the Empress behind her. On the day of the auction, Yu Quan wanted to sit beside this woman. It turned out that they already knew each other. When Bai Cixin saw Qinya, she seemed to have thought of the owner of the bar. This time, when I return to the south, I should pay a visit to the owner of the bar. Yi Zhao's face sunk. I brought the Empress's personal maid's father over to threaten you. Seriously. However, this can't be counted as a threat. It was just a process of questioning, and I didn't use any torture. Fortunately, the Empress came over today. If not, if I were to use torture, I would really be finished. However, on the day of the auction, why did this female attendant appear at the scene? Could it be that she was sent over by the Empress to probe? Or could it be that she was sent over by the Empress to investigate something? Qinya's appearance made everyone believe Chu Bai's words. After all, she was the Empress's maid, and her strength was definitely not ordinary. It was normal for her to be able to defeat Yi Tai and Song Huang. And with the Empress vouching for her, the two people who disappeared definitely had other reasons. However, everyone didn't know that the murderer was in cahoots with them. Right now, it was the husband who killed the murderer, and they were the ones who washed their butts. The other family heads also knew that this matter wasn't simple. The Empress actually sent a female attendant to probe. What is the meaning of this? Yi Xiao, my people naturally wouldn't kill your son. You still need to investigate this matter. Dongwang Baiji said gravely. Yi Xiao didn't dare to speak too much. What the Empress said is extremely true. I was thinking too much. Chu Bai was also very surprised. I didn't expect that Qing was actually the Empress's maid. After today, this Qing family is going to become popular. Qing Huaxian was indeed popular, and it was so popular that Qing Huaxian was baffled. Those family heads who couldn't meet Qing Huaxian one after another came to pay a visit to Qing Huaxian one after another. On the other hand, Tang family, Bai family, and Xiao family weren't as popular as they were back then. The world is so realistic. Don't feel despair because of the current situation. Perhaps tomorrow will be even more despairing. Seeing that Qingyu stood out, Yihua gave her 2 points. Guantong knelt on the ground with a plop. Empress, you have to uphold justice for me. My son was assassinated last night, and before the assassin died, he took a glance at them. He definitely didn't dare to say it out loud, but it was already very clear. Guantong, have you gone senile? You actually believe the words of this assassin. Duan Ho was wearing a veil today, in order to prevent her appearance from scaring the Empress. Jiang Yuanzhou said faintly. That's right, perhaps it was someone else who tried to sow discord between us. It was definitely you, Jiang Yuanzhou. Guantong suddenly pointed at Jiang Yuanzhou and shouted out, looking at Jiang Yuanzhou as if saying, You are the assassin. I have already seen through you. Jiang Yuanzhou was also angered to the point that he glared at Guantong. Guantong, are you sick? All right, stop quarreling. Dongwang Baiji stopped the two family heads from quarreling. No matter what, they're the family heads of aristocratic families, and they have to pay attention to their image. Since the Empress had spoken, everyone had to quiet down. I also know a little about what happened last night. Guantong, although you are feeling the pain of losing your son, you cannot determine who the assassin is just because of a glance from the assassin. You have to investigate this matter carefully. Guantong immediately propped himself up and shouted out, Empress, it was definitely one of the 4 of them. You definitely have a way to make them confess to their crimes. Dongwang Baiji was clearly acting shamelessly, and this gave Dongwang Baiji a headache. The other party's son had already died. Am I supposed to scold him? At this moment, Duan Ho suddenly said, "Empress, I feel that this matter is not a small matter. Yi family's son went missing, and Guan family's son was murdered for no reason at all. Could it be that someone is plotting against the North?" Even Duan Ho thought this way. Yi Hua's figure immediately appeared in Dongwang Baiji's and Qingya's mind. If something bad happened, it would definitely be related to Yi Hua. Yi Hua, who was within the crowd, decided to deduct 10 points from each of them. You don't even have any evidence, and yet you are still thinking about it. You are truly stupid. That's right, a lot of things have happened recently, and although they seem to be unrelated to each other, they seem to be related to each other. Everyone, you have to raise your vigilance. Dongwang Baiji was also unable to understand the current situation. Is it Yi Hua, or is it someone else? Should I go and ask Yi Hua? We are currently in the middle of a Cold War. If anyone were to open their mouth, wouldn't that mean that they have lost? But Guan Tong still wanted to continue speaking, but he was stopped by Yu Quan. Empress is already tired. Later on, Empress will naturally send someone to investigate this matter. You all can just calmly wait for the result. Return. Before Yu Quan could finish his sentence about returning to Voidless Realm, someone interrupted him. To be precise, it wasn't a person, rather, the door was opened and a man and a woman walked in. Chapter 375. Naturally, the ones who appeared at the door were Zhu Tian and Dongfang Yuan. Facing so many people, Dongfang Yuan was a little timid. However, the heat from Absolute Heaven's hand gave Dongfang Yuan a lot of courage. With Absolute Heaven here, she would feel more at ease. This wasn't the first time that Yi Hua saw Dongfang Yuan. That day during the auction, Yi Hua had also taken a glance at Dongfang Yuan, but he didn't take a good look at her. Looking at her today, Zhu Tian's eyesight was pretty good. That delicate appearance of hers made people want to protect her. That didn't seem right. Compared to protecting her, bullying her was the correct way to unlock her. Absolute Heaven was blessed. This was his blessing as the boss. This girl was not bad. But to others, these two people had barged into the meeting without permission, and they should be punished. Who are you? Do you know what this place is? Hey, isn't this a woman from the Bai clan? Why did you change her man? Her man is dead. How can she not change? Yu Quan looked at the two people at the door and shouted, "Her Majesty the Empress allows you to explain." Zhu Tian held Dongfang Yuan, O's hand, and walked forward with absolute confidence. Looking at the two madams, Zhu Tian knelt on one knee, and Dongfang Yuan, who was beside him, also knelt and lowered her head. "Respected Empress, I came here with no ill intentions." Knowing that his honor was present, Zhu Tian naturally wouldn't be disrespectful towards his honor's madams. Even if his honor wasn't present, Zhu Tian still had to show respect to the madams. This was something that a subordinate should do. Everyone thought that this man was here to cause trouble. They thought that they could watch a good show before they left, but it turned out that he was just a coward. Dongwang Baiji said faintly, "This Empress allows you to state your purpose for coming here." "Thank you, Your Majesty." Zhu Tian stood up, looked at Dongfang Yuan and said, "This girl is my woman. Her matters are my matters. Her grievances are my anger. Her grievances will be washed by me. Her surname is Dongfang. Today we are here to participate in the aristocratic family election." Saying so, a dagger appeared in Absolute Heaven's hand, floating in the air. The whole place was in chaos. Tang Wushuang cried out in surprise, "My ancient godly item." Zhu Tian said faintly, "This is Dongfang family's ancient godly item." Everyone's brains weren't enough to process it, and there were even whispers of discussion. As for the 5 great clans, the patriarch's expressions were gloomy because they could feel that the newcomers did not come with good intentions. They were here for the 5 great clans. Yu Quan took over the tomb, then bowed and passed it to Dongwang Baiji. Dongwang Baiji looked at the ancient godly item that was in her hand, and her brain was about to explode. Why did something happen again? Can't you just let me have some peace? Qinya wrinkled her brows. Why do I feel that this man looks a bit familiar? Tang Wushuang walked out from the crowd, then hurriedly kowtowed and shouted, Your Majesty, this is the ancient godly item that I lost. Dongwang Baiji took a deep breath. This ancient godly item, where did you get it from? You guys might not believe me, but I picked it up, Absolute Heaven said calmly. Looking at those sincere eyes of his, it didn't seem like he was lying. Tang Wushuang was the first one who couldn't take it anymore. He pointed at Tang Wushuang and shouted, You are the one who picked me up. I'm sorry. I don't have the spirit of not pocketing money that I picked up, Absolute Heaven said indifferently. Tang Wushuang wasn't convinced, and she questioned with her delicate voice, You're acting shamelessly. Everyone knows that it isn't easy to obtain an ancient godly item, but in the end, it can't be that I have to return it to you after I snatch it from you. There doesn't seem to be such a rule, right? Besides, I didn't even snatch it from you. I only picked it up, that's all. Absolute Heaven's argument was indeed correct. Ancient godly items indeed had to be snatched by others, and whoever had the ability to obtain them would be able to obtain them. Tang Wushuang was very unconvinced, and he hurriedly cupped his hands towards Dongwang Baiji and said, Your Majesty, please investigate this matter clearly. This ancient godly item was something that you wanted to keep. Tang Wushuang remained silent and waited for Dongwang Baiji's reply. His honor was waiting for the madams to make a fool of themselves, and if that didn't happen, his honor would be very disappointed. In actuality, Dongwang Baiji was discussing with Qinya whether to keep the ancient godly item or to let it go. Qinya, what do you think? I don't know how to judge as well. I don't really understand the rules of your voidless realm. Dongwang Baiji was very vexed. This ancient godly item was supposed to be confiscated, but Tang Wushuang lost it, and today, someone brought it over to participate in the election. Everyone looked towards Dongwang Baiji, waiting for the Empress's final decision. Yuhua was also watching excitedly. This is the finale of the show. Who asked you all to be mischievous? After a short while, Dongwang Baiji had an answer in her heart, and she said, faintly, This is the ancient godly item that I wanted to confiscate. Since you all brought it over to participate in the election, it naturally doesn't count. However, I still have to thank you all for bringing it over to the ancient godly item. I will naturally not treat you all unfairly. Dongwang Baiji's way of doing things seemed to be very clear. Since I accepted the ancient godly item, I will be giving you face. Zhu Tian was very satisfied with his wife's answer. After all, if I don't accept his wife's answer, I won't be able to complete the mission that his honor gave me. Tang Wushuang didn't know why, but he let out a sigh of relief. Yihua, who was within the crowd, was very excited. Let me let you all be arrogant. Let me let you all be arrogant. Obediently refuse to be my wife. And yet, you all insist on coming out to act cool. Watch how I will slap your faces. Just when everyone thought that Zhu Tian would compromise, Zhu Tian said something that caused everyone to exclaim in admiration. Is this how Voidless Realm bullies the weak? Immediately, the crowd went into an uproar. This is simply the second Xiao Yi, and later on, this Voidless Realm will definitely die. What a lesson from the past. How dare you? Yuanda roared, and the pressure from his body automatically spread out. How could some of the weaker patriarchs withstand it? Step down, Dongwang Baiji said faintly. Yuanda fiercely glared at Absolute Heaven, his words carrying a serious warning. Dongwang Baiji said faintly, My voidless realm has always been reasonable. How shameless. He had just crippled someone, and now he was trying to reason with them. Zhu Tian nodded and said, Lady Empress is naturally a reasonable person. I believe in you. This high hat is being put on. Lady Empress, may I ask who was the previous owner of this primordial godly item? Zhu Tian asked. Dongwang Baiji naturally knew about it, and she said gravely, The Dongfang family from 100 years ago. After the Dongfang family's tragedy, how should we deal with this ancient godly item? Zhu Tian continued to ask, as expected of Absolute Heaven's brain. With just a few words, he was able to turn a matter that had happened in the past into a tragedy. This caused those who heard him to feel puzzled. Just what kind of tragedy had happened 100 years ago? What's wrong with the Dongfang family? Everyone has their own curiosity, especially when it comes to the gossip of those in power. Dongwang Baiji wouldn't fall for absolute heaven's trick. Back then, Dongfang family was guilty of secretly possessing an ancient godly item, and the evidence was conclusive. Thus, the ancient godly item was naturally taken back by Voidless Realm, just that this dagger had disappeared. Zhu Tian silently nodded his head, slowly luring Dongwang Baiji's wife to fall for his trick. In that case, this dagger is the evidence, and it is the ancient godly item that Voidless Realm is going to take back. Zhu Tian asked. Dongwang Baiji felt that something was wrong, but she still said, "That's right." Then, may I ask, Honorable Lady Empress, why is this kind of evidence able to enter the aristocratic family's election when it fell into Tang Wushuang's hands, but not when it fell into Dongfang family's descendants' hands? Both of them are going to take back the ancient godly item, so why is the result different? Zhu Tian had prepared for so long just to say this sentence. However, when Zhu Tian said this sentence, the entire place became deathly silent. This is a direct slap to the face. Dongwang Baiji's face immediately darkened, and Qingya's expression also changed. Meanwhile, when Yihua saw his wife's expressions, he felt great in his heart. Am I still formidable? Am I still formidable? Chapter 376. The atmosphere in the banquet was very oppressive because the Empress's slender figure was exuding a spiritual pressure, causing everyone to be unable to breathe. Zhu Tian didn't have any intention of stopping as he continued speaking. Respected Your Majesty, could it be that Voidless Realm is intentionally suppressing Dongfang family? Or was it the Dongfang family's meritorious service? Are you trying to frame me? Ordinary families wouldn't even know about this kind of secret text, and only Voidless Realm and the 5 great families knew about this matter. So, how did this man know about it? Dongwang Baiji immediately thought of Yihua, because she had already told Yihua about this matter. However, he looked at the girl beside him. She was also a member of the Dongfang family. Back then, she had only killed all the men. She had not killed the women or the girls. This was also the reason why Zhu Tian had to subdue Dongfang Yuer. He wanted to make Dongfang Yuer's wife seem to conform to common sense. Dongwang Baiji thought to herself, I don't even know about the case back then, and I haven't even been born yet. After that, I only heard a little about it, but I didn't try to find out more about it. Could it be that there's really a grievance in this case? But regardless of whether he was wronged or not, he had lost all his face today. Bastard! Hubby, come quickly. Your wife is being bullied. If Yihua would know what Dongwang Baiji was thinking right now, he would definitely feel extremely happy. Now that you know how to look for my husband for help, I, the Supreme Overlord, am not going to help you, and I'm going to let you know just how big of a mistake it is to leave me. Zhu Tian gently caressed Dongfang Yuer's cheeks and faintly said, My Yuer had to endure a lot of pressure. Because she was weak, she was sold into the Bai family and lived in the abyss of suffering. Now, she has finally escaped from the abyss of suffering, but she still bears the grievances of the entire Dongfang family. Respected Empress, are you going to let the murderer go free? This was absolute heaven's solo performance. Every word he said caused others to blush with shame. In addition to Dongfang Yuer's weak expression, everyone seemed to believe that she had been wronged. Dongwang Baiji said coldly, I will naturally investigate this matter thoroughly. Lady Empress is extremely intelligent. I believe that not long from now, you will be able to clear Dongfang family's name. Zhu Tian's words caused Dongwang Baiji to be very angry, but at the same time, there was nothing she could do. Chu He suddenly shouted, What do you mean innocent or not? Don't try to confuse the Empress here. Your Majesty, this man's background is unknown. Duanho said. Zhu Tian said indifferently, Respected Empress, I am also the son-in-law of the Guan family. Guan Tong was speechless. The other four patriarchs looked at Guan Tong in unison, as if asking, "Was he sent by you? You actually broke the agreement years ago just for the death of his son." The four family heads were furious. This Guan Tong wanted his son-in-law to bring up the past again. This was revenge. "Guan Tong, is he your son-in-law?" Dongwang Baiji asked. Guan Tong stammered and then said, "He's my daughter's boyfriend." Zhu Tian said softly, "When Yin Xan has my child, he will naturally be my son-in-law." Everyone too shameless. He had never seen such a shameless person, using a child to kidnap the daughter of an aristocratic family. Even Dongwang Baiji thought that this man came here under Guan Tong's orders. Zhu Tian let out a sigh of relief. This ancient godly item originally belonged to the Dongfang family, and now that it has fallen into the hands of the Dongfang family's descendant, it seems to be perfectly justifiable. He should be able to participate in the election, right? Forcing me to abdicate. Yihua was very satisfied with Zhu Tian's performance. Dongwang Baiji was quite angered today. If I don't agree to it, Voidless Realm will become an evil power that bullies the weak, and if I agree to it, I won't have any face left. That would be equivalent to slapping my face. However, compared to Voidless Realm's authority, I still have to throw away my face. Dongwang Baiji looked towards Zhu Tian coldly and said, "This girl is going to participate in the election. Respected your majesty, of course, she will be the one to participate in the election." Zhu Tian gave Dongwang Baiji enough face, causing Dongwang Baiji to feel slightly more comfortable. Yihua saw that the corner of Baiji's mouth was twitching, and he nearly laughed out loud. Dongwang Baiji said gravely, "All right, I will make an exception this once and allow her to participate in the election." Everyone who was present inhaled a mouthful of cold air. I didn't expect that such a turn of events would occur today. Voidless Realm abolished the qualifications of 2 candidates, and in the end, 1 more candidate was accepted. Furthermore, the person who accepted the election was an ancient godly item that was lost. This bespectacled man sure is smart. He actually made the Empress unable to refute him. Tang Wushuang didn't expect that things would turn out like this. Bai Cixin also didn't expect that things would turn out like this. That day, she was clearly going to sit on the seat of an aristocratic family, but her plans were disrupted by Tang Wushuang. And today, this person appeared. I feel like the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. What a scheming man. Zhu Tian cupped his hands and said, "Your Majesty is wise. This humble one admires you. Can you make an announcement now?" Announcement? Everyone completely didn't understand what Zhu Tian was talking about. Yu Quan said gravely, "To participate in the election of an aristocratic family, one has to go through an evaluation of strength and assets." Zhu Tian pushed Dongfang Yuer to the front of him and said, "Your Majesty, she is just an ordinary person, and she has an ordinary bank card with her. In the bank card, there are a few thousand kuai that she earned from working. This is all of the assets that she has. Furthermore, she doesn't have any other competitors." Everyone's heart trembled. What this man said is true. Tang family and Bai family have been abolished, and Shao Yi is the same as well. All of the competitors are gone. So who else is there left to participate in the election? Good. You are very good. Dongwang Baiji was really angered by Zhu Tian. Although there isn't any evidence, Dongwang Baiji feels that Zhu Tian is definitely one of Yihua's people. Yihua, no matter if he is one of your people or not, you still have to take the blame. Zhu Tian is completely unreasonable. However, a woman's characteristic is that they are unreasonable. This is where Yihua miscalculated. "Thank you, Your Majesty, for your praise. I don't deserve it." Dongwang Baiji signaled Yu Quan to announce it. Yu Quan was also very puzzled, but he had no choice but to announce it. "Dongfang Yuer, listen up," Yu Quan shouted. Zhu Tian said in a low voice, "You go." Zhu Tian, "Thank you." Dongfang Yuan was very moved. This was a man who truly cared about her. Zhu Tian said in a low voice, "No need to thank me. I will definitely bully you when we get back tonight." Dongfang Yuan Er's face turned red as she hurriedly walked forward. Yuquan shouted, "From today onwards, the Dongfang family will become the sixth family. Patriarch Dongfang Yuer, enjoy all the privileges of the aristocratic families." One sentence was heaven, and one sentence was earth. He had performed very well today. Dongfang Yuan heir stretched out her hands, and the ancient divine weapon-piercing tomb slowly floated into her hands. As for Dongwang Baiji, she didn't want to stay here any longer, and she said coldly, "Return." Qingyi took a look at this junior sister. This is also good. In the future, no one will bully her anymore. He was completely unaware that Dongfang Yuan was being bullied by absolute heaven every single day. And when Dongfang Yuan saw her senior sister, she wanted to say a few words to her, but she didn't dare to and just watched them leave. Dongfang Yuan became the sixth family in the north. Although she didn't have much strength, she still had all the rights that an aristocratic family should have. Many family heads came over to fawn on her, and Zhu Tian acted as her guardian. After all, Dongfang Yuan was pure and kind, and it was very easy for her to be deceived by others. For example, she was deceived by me. What a silly girl. After watching a good show today, Yihua felt very comfortable. Thus, he returned home. Qingye and Dongwang Baiji didn't take any transportation back because they weren't in the mood to do so. After returning back to Voidless Realm's bedroom, Dongwang Baiji began smashing things in her room, while Qingye helplessly looked at her from the side. "Bastard, shameless bastard. I have lost all of my face today." Dongwang Baiji lost her temper, and all of the first-rate spirit tools were turned into dregs. Chapter 377. Qingye, if today's trap was set up by Yihua, we would have lost by a notch. Qingye laughed lightly. If my guess isn't wrong, this is a trap set up by Yihua. However, this time around, he is very smart, and we don't have any evidence to prove it. Bastard. Yihua, this damned Yihua actually tricked his wife. Dongwang Baiji was about to go crazy from anger. This is the first time I've heard of a husband setting up a trap for his wife. All right, we have to think of a way to turn the tables. Qingye wouldn't admit defeat so easily. Although the two wives had no evidence, a woman's sixth sense told them that it was their husband who was messing around behind the scenes. Everything happened when they ran away from home. How could it be so coincidental? Anyway, it was just one sentence. I don't care. It's Yihua. Dongwang Baiji gradually calmed down, and in her heart, the flames of victory were ignited. I will definitely not let Yihua look down on me. Firstly, we need to ascertain the reason why Yihua did all those things. Qingye said faintly while sitting on a jade chair at the side. The maids were carrying the freshest tea and fruits over to Qingye. Dongwang Baiji snorted. Isn't it because you want us to return? This is only one of the reasons. What he did today was to make us lose face and strike at our confidence so that we would lower our heads and ask him for help. Qingye's guess was really direct and very accurate. Dongwang Baiji remembered that this was what she was thinking back then. What a shame. I nearly fell for my husband's tricks. Then, what is he planning to do next? Dongwang Baiji let out a breath. After taking a sip of the tea, she felt much more comfortable. Qingye said gravely, if my guess is correct, Yihua wants to overthrow the other 5 great families. Isn't he just messing around? Dongwang Baiji immediately stood up in excitement. After all, this person could be counted as her subordinate. Qingye shook her head. From what happened with Dongfang family, it could be seen that Yihua is trying to help Dongfang family clear their grievances. Furthermore, Yihua must have definitely found some sort of clue. Today, the expressions of the 5 family heads who were present at the scene also seemed to be a bit strange. Dongwang Baiji asked confusedly, Qingye, are you saying that all 5 aristocratic families are participating in this? Yihua wants to use this matter to get rid of the 5 aristocratic families? Qingye nodded her head. But why'd he do that? Dongwang Baiji was confused. Isn't he just making things difficult for you and me? That day, both of us were speaking up for the outsiders, and right now, he's trying his best to mess with those people and wants us to go and help them. Qinya laughed bitterly. Only a child would do such a thing. Yihua's a child that hasn't grown up yet. If we help them and fail, Yihua will be able to see us as a joke. Qinya nodded her head. Bastard. I'll strangle him to death right now. All right. You won't do anything much either. He's just helping a weak lady. We mustn't panic, Qinya said with a warm smile. In actuality, Yihua's original intention for this entire matter was still good, which was to help others clear their grievances. Yihua didn't know that his lovely wife could be evaluated in such a way. I, the Supreme Overlord, am only making use of you. You're thinking too much. Then how can we turn defeat into victory and stop it? On the contrary, we have to investigate the truth of this matter before Yihua. We cannot let Yihua's people wash away this injustice. No matter what, Qinya was still a CEO, and she had played in business wars before, thus she knew a bit about this matter. Right now, what they had to do was to settle this matter before Yihua. If that were to happen, Yihua's plan would be ruined. That was indeed the case. If Yihua didn't get the initiative this time, then Voidless Realm couldn't be said to be incompetent. On the other hand, if Qinya and Dongwang Baiji were to find the evidence first, then Voidless Realm would be seen as an impartial big shot, and they would be respected by more people. Right now, they were competing to see who was faster. In actuality, the most unjust thing was that Zhu Tian had already dealt with the details very well, and there was no evidence at all. But even so, Qinya and Dongwang Baiji still firmly believed that Yihua was the one behind all of this. I'm not going to talk to you about the evidence. In any case, it is you. Dongwang Baiji thought for a moment, then shouted out, Men, bring out the dossier of Dongfang family that year. Yes, if Dongfang family is really framed, I will not let it go. Dongwang Baiji's beautiful eyes revealed out a bit of firmness. After all, this matter was judged by my Lord Father, and if it is wrong, I will definitely correct it. Qinya nodded her head, then said with a light smile, And this is not only a competition with Yihua, this is also a competition to uphold justice in the world. Dongwang Baiji agreed with what Qinya said. Yihua felt that this was bullshit justice. Without me being evil, how can there be justice in the world? Right now, within the bar, Yihua was currently opening a bottle of champagne at the bar counter and drinking with his sister-in-law. Brother-in-law, why are you so happy today? My big sister is coming back. Qing Yutong took a sip of champagne and asked curiously. Yihua sneered. I will be happy for them. Don't joke around. TSK, you still don't want to admit it? In actuality, you can't wait for big sister and Baiji to come back, right? What does a brat know? I'm going to make your big sister beg me to come back. Watch carefully. Qing Yutong spread out her hands and said helplessly, I'm just afraid that in the end, brother-in-law, even if I'm going to jump off a cliff, I will not go and beg them. All right, brother-in-law, you are awesome. Sister-in-law shall give you a toast. Ding. Yihua drank the champagne in a single gulp. Your Honor. Zhu Tian suddenly walked out from the darkness, giving Qing Yutong a fright. I didn't even notice that Zhu Tian had arrived. Miss Qing, Zhu Tian said with a light smile towards Qing Yutong. Yihua trusted his sister-in-law a lot. There were a lot of things that Qing didn't know about, but Qing Yutong knew about everything. From this, it could be seen that Qing Yutong was very favored by Yihua. This is Zhu Tian, another subordinate of mine. Yihua said faintly. Qing Yutong sized up Zhu Tian and felt that his light smile was so fake, it looked even uglier than crying. Zhu Tian, don't smile so politely, it looks really ugly. Yihua couldn't bear to watch on anymore. When Zhu Tian smiles, his skin moves, but his flesh doesn't move. Recently, Zhu Tian had been learning how to smile. Smiling is a type of courtesy, but I really can't bring myself to smile. Of course, seeing that his honor is happy, I am able to smile. This is the glory of being a subordinate. This feels great. Your Honor, the madams should be suspicious of me. Zhu Tian said respectfully. After causing such a ruckus today, the madams will definitely be suspicious of me. Yi Hua swirled the champagne in his hand and said indifferently, with their unreasonable personalities, even if they don't have any evidence, they have already pinned the blame on me. Furthermore, they have already thought of a way to deal with me. Your Honor's wisdom surpasses that of Zhuge Liang. Subordinate is inferior to even one of Your Honor's fingers. I hope that Your Honor can bestow upon subordinate the highest wisdom and allow subordinate to do things for Your Honor with all my heart. Qing Yutong felt very cold, and goosebumps appeared all over her body. Chapter 378. Yi Hua said faintly, I will give you a piece of information. Thank you, Your Honor. Qing Yutong couldn't take it anymore. Your conversation is so shameless. If they want to win against me right now, there's only one way, and that is to obtain the evidence of the 5 aristocratic families' crimes before us. If they were to announce it, all of our efforts would be wasted. Zhu Tian could be seen kneeling down. Your Honor is a god. Qing Yutong, I can't take it anymore. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to go upstairs. If I continue listening to this, I will die from numbness. Zhu Tian, they have an advantage. Baiji is able to investigate what happened back then, but you don't have such an advantage. Have you thought clearly about what you are going to do? Do you need me to remind you? Zhu Tian was terrified, then said hurriedly, Your Honor has already provided so much information. Subordinate doesn't dare to let Your Honor use his brain anymore. That would make subordinate seem very useless. Yi Hua let out a breath. You are quite sensible. I didn't think of any other methods. The relationship between a superior and a subordinate was very complicated. As a subordinate, he had to understand the boss's personality, and when it was time to flatter the boss, he had to flatter the boss. Of course, Zhu Tian wasn't flattering the boss. He was praising the boss sincerely. After all, the previous His Honor was a simple-minded skeleton. If he didn't need to use his brain, he definitely wouldn't use it. Go. Try to solve the case as soon as possible. After that, I will use my ultimate technique to instantly kill them. Yi Hua laughed lightly. Those who went against me are all howling in pain in hell. Only the 2 of you can make me love and hate you. Yes, subordinate will take my leave now. Yi Hua took out a cigarette and slowly lit it up. Right now, the atmosphere in Shao residence was very heavy. Basin after basin of blood was carried out from the room, causing everyone to feel even more depressed. Shao, he was still not awake and was lying on the bed. Although Xu Nan's medical skills weren't as abnormal as Song Huang's, she was still an expert. Right now, the medicine has already been applied on Xiao Yi's body. Just that, his buttocks were all smashed up. It will take a long time for Xiao Yi to fully recover. Xu Nan let out a deep sigh. My husband is still so impulsive. If only those people were here, they would at least be able to treat my husband's injuries. It's a pity that my husband cut off that path. If not, he wouldn't have ended up like this. After wiping off the bloodstains on her hands, Xu Nan walked out of the room. Yu Qi and the other women hurriedly asked, Brother Xiao, what happened? I spared his life, Xu Nan said helplessly. This was good news for Yu Qi and the others. As long as the man didn't die, it was fine. She could live in peace in the future. The women's thoughts were very simple. It was just that Xiao Yi didn't want to live a peaceful life. He wanted to stand above everyone. Xu Nan, there's a man who claims to be Cindy's relative waiting in the side hall, Yu Qi said. Xu Nan frowned and said in a deep voice, I'll go take a look. You guys look after Brother Xiao. Yes. Arriving at the side hall, Xu Nan saw a man dressed in calm clothes sitting and drinking tea. From his appearance, he didn't look like a bad person, but who knew? Hello, I'm Xu Nan. When the man saw Xu Nan walking over, he stood up and smiled. Hello, my name is Wu Lu. Xu Nan smiled and shook hands with her before sitting down. You're Cindy's? My cousin from far has recently come to Zijin City to take care of some matters, so I came over to take a look. Wu Lu maintained a faint smile from beginning to end, but for some reason, this smile made Xu Nan's whole body numb, especially that pair of squinting eyes It gave people an illusion of a very kind person. So it's Cindy's cousin from afar. Cindy has recently gone abroad. Hearing Shu Nan's words, Wu Lu paused for a moment. Shu Nan didn't notice this subtle action, but Wu Lu knew that something had happened. Because Nangong Cindy's location was still here, Wu Lu asked curiously, I saw that the servants of the Shao residence are very busy today. Did something happen? You're overthinking. They're just preparing for the family banquet. I see. I'll have to bother you. Wu Lu stood up and said faintly. He still didn't know what happened today. I'll send you off. Shu Nan was also very polite. Wu Lu smiled and nodded. The two of them walked towards the door. However, just when they reached the door, they heard the guards outside shouting angrily. Who are you? The person who killed you. After a few muffled sounds of someone falling to the ground, the door became quiet again. Shu Nan's expression instantly changed. Her husband had just fallen, and someone came to seek revenge so quickly. Wu Lu turned around and looked at Shu Nan. It seemed that something had really happened. The two huge mahogany doors were instantly lifted and flew towards the two of them. Wu Lu slowly waved his arm, and the two wooden doors flew towards the two of them as if they were cut by a huge blade. The one standing at the door was Chun Xuanzong. Today, he was here to exterminate the Shao family. Looking at this person who had recently reincarnated, Wu Lu's expression didn't change. Chun Xuanzong looked at the smiling man in front of him and frowned. His intuition told him that this person was very dangerous. Today, I'm here to take revenge. Chun Xuanzong stated his intention. Wu Lu lightly smiled and said, Sorry, the Shao family is on a holiday today. I'll come another day. Chun Xuanzong's eyes focused, and a terrifying spiritual energy erupted. He turned his hand into a palm and attacked with a violent aura. Wu Lu didn't have any intention of retreating. His right hand instantly emitted a colorful brilliance, and it instantly clashed against Chun Xuanzong's palm. Boom! The entire Shao family was shaken. Shu Nan, who was at the side, was directly sent flying. Her back smashed against a stone pillar, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Under this attack, the front yard was in a mess. Wu Lu sighed in his heart. As expected of a reincarnated demon emperor, this strength is extraordinary. Chun Xuanzong's eyes were filled with astonishment. Who is this person? He actually received my palm attack head-on, and it seems to be rather easy. I said, the Shao family is on a holiday today. Chun Xuanzong leaped backwards. Are you trying to protect the Shao family? Is there any other possibility? Wu Lu spread his hands and said. He seemed to be very mysterious, which Chun Xuanzong couldn't see through. If you were to retreat today, I will definitely reward you generously. Wu Lu shook his head. Although he was stronger than the other party, it wasn't that easy to capture him, unless it was a one-sided battle. An S-rank reincarnator shouldn't be underestimated. Leave, come back another day. Chun Xuanzong weighed in his heart. If he were to fight with him today, his chances of winning wouldn't be high. Injuries would definitely be unavoidable. How unlucky. From the looks of it, they seem to be going out. If only I came 10 minutes later. The palm attack just now made my arm numb. Chun Xuanzong shouted coldly. Then I'll come back another day. Looking at Chun Xuanzong leaving, Wu Lu looked at his palm. There were black threads that looked like spiderwebs. He quickly took out a pill and swallowed it. This demon emperor's strength was indeed not bad. Chapter 379. Can you take me to see Shao Yi now? Wu Lu faintly smiled. His narrowed eyes made people feel uncomfortable. Shu Nan nodded. She didn't expect Cindy's cousin to be so powerful. Wu Lu came to the bedroom, and when he saw Shao Yi being beaten up to such a state, he was a bit shocked as well. After knowing what happened, Wu Lu exclaimed in admiration. Shao Yi was actually stripped of his title by Voidless Realm. Xin Yuan's sword was taken away by Voidless Realm, and his strength was crippled. To this immortal emperor, he might as well just kill Shao Yi. After asking again and again, Wu Lu found out that Nangong Cindy was already dead, and the one who killed her was the black cloak skeleton. It was said that it was related to that bar, but it still needed to be investigated. It seemed that the boss's promotion to S rank was correct. Death mages were summoned, not transmigrated or reborn. Therefore, the space-time branch did not have any levels. Suddenly, Wu Lu thought of a good idea. Recently, the company was short of manpower. Although this immortal emperor had lost his ancient godly item and power, his foundation was still there. There seemed to be a lot of decent primordial spirits in the warehouse. Although they were slightly weak, they could at least help him recover some of his strength, making it convenient for him to help the company. These decent primordial spirits belonged to those unlucky reincarnators. They were captured when they were at their weakest, and their primordial spirits were extracted before being sent back. Although this primordial spirit was relatively weak, it still had potential. After all, those who could cultivate a primordial spirit were all very powerful. It was just that when he came over, he was too weak. Shunan, if you trust me, hand your husband over to me. I can cure him and restore his strength. Wu Lu's words made Shunan very shocked, but from this person's performance just now, he was still very strong. Can I come with you? Shunan asked. Wu Lu shook his head. Shunan looked at her pale husband. When he woke up, he would definitely be in so much pain that he would want to die. Rather than seeing her husband in pain, it was better to take a gamble. If her husband was still awake, he would definitely make the same choice. All right, I hope you're not lying to me. Otherwise, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Wu Lu chuckled. You women all like to say that. Shu Nin immediately became worried. This person looked calm, but his words didn't seem to be reliable. By a while Shu Nin was deep in thought, Wu Lu and Xiao Yi on the bed disappeared. After an unknown amount of time, Xiao Yi slowly opened his eyes. Scenes appeared in his mind. The Xin Yuan sword was gone. His strength was gone. What was the point of living? Do you want to die? Xiao Yi was startled and looked around. It was pitch black. Who's talking? Bang, bang, bang. The white lights were switched on one after another. It was very dazzling. Xiao Yi frowned and closed his eyes. Xiao Yi, before he was reborn, he was a celestial emperor. Although he was a relatively weak celestial emperor, at least he still had a reputation. After he arrived on Earth, he reformed the Xiao family and obtained the Xin Yuan sword. People called him the act-tough King Xiao. But unfortunately, all his glory was taken away within a day. Xiao Yi's expression changed drastically. The immortal emperor was his greatest secret. Not even his wives knew about it. How did he know? Wu Lu smiled and said, I know you're confused. In fact, our company specializes in catching transmigrators like you. We knew about it on the first day you came, so we arranged for Nangong Sini to be by your side. Unfortunately, she's dead. What? Sini is one of your people. Xiao Yi involuntarily shouted. He never thought that he would be arranged. Yes, but don't be disappointed. Her feelings for you are real. Every time she reports, she only picks on the light ones. You've instigated our people to defect. After a long time, Xiao Yi seemed to accept this situation. What do you want to do? Recently, the company is short of manpower. If we can have a celestial emperor like you to support us, the work efficiency should be good. As a manager, Wu Lu basically didn't go out on duty. He only gave orders. Why? Because I can let you continue to have strength. Hearing this, Xiao Yi was tempted. As Wu Lu snapped his fingers, the wall gradually moved, revealing the items inside. Xiao Yi couldn't believe it. The rows of bottles actually contained primordial spirits. What kind of organization was this? I can make an exception and arrange a weaker primordial spirit for you. If you perform well, you can naturally obtain a stronger primordial spirit. In fact, there are a few very powerful celestial emperor primordial spirits here. Unfortunately, their luck wasn't as good as yours. When they came over, they were too weak and their heads were blown off by the people below. Listening to Wu Lu's explanation, Xiao Yi was shocked. He also saw a glimmer of hope. After this experience, he also knew the importance of hugging someone's thigh. The opportunity was in front of him again. He couldn't miss it. Good. I promise you. Wu Lu was very happy. This is a living celestial emperor, and furthermore, This celestial emperor is working for me. What bullshit arrogance. This Xiao Yi is tactful. Otherwise, there would be another bottle here. In actuality, Xiao Yi also thought of this point. Such an important matter has been found out by me. If I don't promise you, I might very well die. In the future, we will be colleagues. I am very happy that you have joined Space-Time Branch. Space-Time Branch. Xiao Yi felt that it should be very powerful, right? 1 month passed by in the blink of an eye. Yuhua was very angry. These two women are actually still stubbornly resisting. Do they really want me to use my trump card? Zhu Tian's investigation didn't have any progress at all, unless he used extreme methods, such as capturing all of them and forcing them to confess. This was the simplest and fastest method. However, this wasn't what Yuhua wanted. This wasn't shocking at all. He wanted to find evidence that would make them speechless. It would be best if he could find evidence that would slap them in the face on the spot. Zhu Tian didn't find any evidence, and Dongwang Baiji didn't find any evidence as well. It had already been more than 100 years, and the evidence was basically all gone. Yihua and Dongwang Baiji were in a deadlock just like that. Neither of them was willing to take a step back. Sometimes, when a husband and wife quarreled, the one who took a step back would be the one who would be at peace. Although there wasn't any progress in the investigation, the relationship between the 5 aristocratic families was very tense. In just 1 month, the younger generation of the aristocratic families had gotten into a fight. Although there weren't any casualties, there were still some who had their arms and legs broken. When this news reached Voidless Realm's ears, Dongwang Baiji became very annoyed. Thus, Dongwang Baiji ordered the 5 aristocratic families to not get into a fight. As a newly appointed Dongfang family, Dongfang Yuan was very low-key. After all, Dongfang Yuan didn't have a luxurious base, and she also didn't have any connections. Bai Cixin left Zijin City and followed her husband to Wang family's territory, which was located in Gaohai City. In the south, Wang family could be considered to have a place of their own. However, after the robbery of the ancient godly item last time, Wang Debao's credibility had been completely used up. The Southerners looked down on Wang Debao, and the 2 banquets that Wang Debao held, there weren't any big figures that came, and the only people that came were some small merchants. Tang Wushuang's family also came to the south. His master's disappearance was a huge blow to Tang Wushuang, and after Tang Wushuang came to the south, he didn't cause any trouble for Tang family. Instead, he lived his life carefully and didn't cause any trouble for others. After all, Tang Wushuang's strength was clear for all to see. Xiao Yi also left the north, and his family moved to Gaohai City. And right now, Xiao Yi had another identity. He was a field agent of the Space-Time Branch, and he was on standby 24 hours a day. In 1 month, he took on 2 missions, and both of them were transmigrators. Xiao Yi was able to easily capture the transmigrators and obtain the praise of the Space-Time Branch. This made Xiao Yi feel very happy, and he felt that his life was pretty much the same as before. Chapter 380. The Space-Time Directorate and the Gods were 2 different systems. The former was equivalent to a technological civilization, managing the problem of smuggling between different planes. On the other hand, the gods were in charge of the safety of the designated planes. The 2 were of different natures, so there was no conflict between them. This was also the reason why the Space-Time Branch didn't intervene in the matters between the giants. Of course, sometimes they would intervene, just like how Wu Lu used Die Hard, but the failure of Die Hard made Wu Lu give up. The gods controlled the safety of the planes, and there were also ranks among the gods. After all, where there were people, there would be Jianghu, not to mention the high and mighty god world. A powerful god often controlled several planes. Just how big was the entire universe? Just like the world that Yi Hua came from in the past and the current world, there were 2 different deities. Compared to the deities in the current world, the deities in the other world were more powerful. After all, the deities in the other world were more powerful. Meanwhile, Yi Hua had asked Zishan about it, and she found out that the number of overlords in this world seemed to be pitifully few. From this, it could be seen just how low the combat prowess of the overlords was. Thus, Yihua completely lost interest in the overlords. Gods lived in a large world with boundless spiritual qi. There were no ordinary people here, only gods. God was just a title, just like human. It was just that the gods had an innate coldness towards the lower worlds. To put it bluntly, they looked down on them. In the beginning, Zishan was also the same. She did not care about the life and death of Ji family. As for Zishan, she could be considered to be a well-known figure among the deities. If not, she wouldn't have been chosen by the king and become a member of the harem. The heavenly palace was the capital city of the gods' world. Naturally, the imperial palace was indispensable, and the person who lived there was naturally the highest ruler of the entire heavenly palace. But today, it wasn't the imperial palace that was bustling, but one of the prince's mansions. Marquee Palace. People came and went at the entrance of the Ho Wangfu. Everyone held gifts in their hands and entered the Ho Wangfu with a heart full of respect. Today was Ho Xiulin's birthday, and those who came were all descendants of the royal family. Even some members of the royal family had to address him as Lord Ho. One could see Ho Xiulin's status in heaven's sanctum. I heard that Prince Ho married the beautiful and talented Miss Z Shan some time ago. It seems like I'm lucky to meet her today. That's right. I heard that this Miss Z Shan is proficient in the 4 arts, and she is also very strong. Marquis Wanya is truly blessed. Everyone seemed to be talking about Miss Z Shan, and in the backyard of the home mansion, there were 2 middle-aged men and a young man. One of them was the home master, Ho Xiulin. He was dressed in luxurious clothes with golden threads, and there was an ancient godly item on his belt. The ring on his thumb was also an ancient godly item. It seemed as though the ancient godly items were just decorations to him. Even though Ho Xiulin looked like a middle-aged man, he had actually lived for tens of thousands of years. It was just that his appearance was fixed at middle-aged age. Of course, he could also look like a teenager, but a middle-aged man looked more mature and reserved. Coupled with his handsome face, he was indeed very attractive to the opposite sex. The 2 men beside him were Che Hongliang and Wu Man. Che Hongliang was the younger brother-in-law of the current emperor, and his sister was the empress. Wu Man was the crown prince's playmate, and his father was a valiant general. The 3 of them could be said to be the most influential people in heaven's sanctum, excluding the royal family. Che Hongliang's body was slightly plump, and his eyes were filled with craftiness. He was a wily old fox. On the other hand, Wu Ma had the appearance of a youngster, and he was as beautiful as jade. He had a graceful bearing, and he was lightly waving the folding fan in his hand. He had the appearance of a playboy. After all, he had to accompany the crown prince to have fun, and he had to be to the crown prince's liking. Prince Ho, why don't I see Madame Ziyuan today? Wu Man asked with a smile, while waving the folding fan in his hand. Ho Xiulin pinched onto his thumb and index finger and said faintly, "She was punished by me to face the wall and reflect on her misdeeds." Che Hongliang, who was at the side, blew away the steam on his teacup, then lightly took a sip of the tea while wrinkling his brows. Soon after, Che Hongliang said, "Prince Ho is willing to punish such a beauty. Admirable. Hee, her temperament is too arrogant. How can she not be punished?" Wu Man laughed lightly. "Today is Prince Ho's birthday. Let's pardon her misdeeds. Besides, there are a lot of nobles who wish to take a look at Madame Ziyuan's appearance today." Hearing what Wu Man said, Ho Xiulin laughed loudly. "What young master said is right. Let's pardon her misdeeds then. Men, bring Madame Ziyuan over." Yes. After receiving the order, the 2 imperial guards immediately went to bring Madame Ziyuan over. However, what they didn't know was that Madame Ziyuan was already in trouble. "Prince Ho, there's a matter that I wish to ask of you." Wu Man placed the folding fan beside the teacup and said with a serious expression. Ho Xiuli nodded and said, "Young masterin, what are you saying? You are the most popular person by the crown prince's side. Even I have to be courteous to you." Prince Ho must be joking. The crown prince still has to address you respectfully as Prince Ho. Haha, young master, and if there is anything that you need, just say it. If it is something that I can do, I will naturally do it, Ho Shiuelin said with a smile. Wuma and said gravely. The crown prince received a secret report that the descendants of Nuwa who had disappeared for a long time seemed to have reappeared. Oh, there is such a matter? Ho Shiuelin paused for a moment, then said with doubt. After hearing what Wuma said, Che Hongliang was startled as well, then placed down the teacup. The descendants of Nuwa? They have disappeared for a long time, and back then, they had disappeared together with the Eastern Emperor clan. Ho Shiuelin smiled, then picked up the teapot and poured the green tea into the teacup, causing a delightful fragrance to drift out. That's right, Nuwa and the Eastern Emperor clan were extremely famous back then, and the females of the Eastern Emperor clan were extremely beautiful. Ho Shiuelin said faintly. Wuma nodded in agreement. The crown prince spent a lot of effort to obtain this information, and furthermore, this plane is under the jurisdiction of Prince Ho. Impossible! Such a matter actually happened within my jurisdiction. Ho Shiuelin exclaimed in admiration. The crown prince is also afraid of breaking the rules, so he sent me over to inform the crown prince. Inform the crown prince? Ho Shiuelin's expression sank. Isn't the crown prince stepping too far? Che Hongliang laughed lightly. Since it is within Prince Ho's jurisdiction, how can we trouble the crown prince to personally go over? Prince Ho can just send a few people over. That's even better. Wuma didn't refute. The words that he said just now was also the crown prince's intention. Wuma wanted to take down Prince Ho's prestige and let Prince Ho know that the crown prince isn't someone to be trifled with. I will naturally send people over to investigate, Ho Shiuelin said with a smile. In actuality, he wished that he could scold the crown prince in his heart. After all, I was the one who placed the Eastern Emperor clan down there for the sake of the Eastern Emperor bloodline. However, up until now, no one in the Eastern Emperor clan has awakened the power of the Eastern Emperor bloodline. On the contrary, the hidden Nuwa bloodline has awakened, and even the crown prince found out about it. This is going to be a bit troublesome. That's great. His Highness the Crown Prince will be very happy. The corner of Wuma An's mouth curled up into a complacent smile as he picked up the folding fan once again. This folding fan was an ancient godly item. Right at this moment, the two Imperial Guards returned, and one of the Imperial Guards leaned over and whispered a few words into Ho Shiuelin's ears. Ho Shiuelin's face remained expressionless as he smiled at the two Imperial Guards. Madame Ziyuan is angry at me. I am truly ashamed. Chapter 381. That is such a pity. I didn't get to see Madame Ziyuan's beauty. Wuma laughed lightly, then picked up the teacup and took a sip. Che Hongliang sighed lightly. A lot of people are going to be disappointed today. I thought that your highness is hiding a mistress and is unwilling to come out. Sigh, this woman is shy. She is embarrassed to come out and meet people. Next time. Ho Shiuelin said with a smile. This Zishan actually ran to the secular world to escape from me. If I capture her back this time, watch how I teach her a lesson. After being married for a few months, I won't even let you touch her. If not for me, you wouldn't even have a place to stand. It will be the royal hunt in a few days, young master, and you have to remind the crown prince to perform well. Che Hongliang said lightly. Rather than saying that it was an instruction, it was more like a disguised form of mockery. After all, Che Hongliang's sister was the empress, and the empress's son was not the crown prince. It was inevitable for the empress to be a bit dissatisfied, and thus, she had to help her son to the throne. That was why Che Hongliang and Wuma were in opposing camps, while Ho Shiuelin did not stand on either side. The two of them had been talking to each other many times, but Ho Shiuelin was just playing dumb. Wuma smiled. Your highness is proficient in both the pen and the sword. You will naturally be able to perform outstandingly in the hunt. That is good, Che Hongliang said indifferently. All right, today is my birthday. Let's go out and have a drink. The three of them stood up and walked towards the front courtyard, while Ho Shiuelin looked for his personal guard, Lin Hong, and told him to bring some people to the secular world to look for Madame Ziyuan. Lin Hong was a man who looked to be in his 30s. He had a square face and an unyielding aura. After receiving His Highness' order, Lin Hong called 2 of his trusted subordinates to go to the secular world to look for Madame Ziyuan and look for the 3 big shots. The 3 of them instantly arrived at the location where Madame Ziyuan came from. Looking at the ruins in front of them, Lin Hong deeply wrinkled his brows. This is Ji family, one of the 3 big shots in the secular world. What is the difference between this place and a ghost town? Brother Lin, there is a godly aura here, a skinny man shouted. His name was Sanchi, and he was someone that Lin Hong had saved. In order to repay his kindness, Sanchi had been following Lin Hong. At this moment, another tall man walked forward and sensed the aura. Brother Lin, the aura is very dense. It should be Madame Ziyuan. This person was called Li Li. Just like his name, the muscles all over his body looked like they were about to explode. After obtaining Lin Hong's recognition, he had been following him. Lin Hong's expression was very solemn as he scanned the surroundings. Madame Ziyuan must have encountered some trouble. How is it possible for someone from such a low-level world to be able to harm Madame Ziyuan? Sanchi cried out in surprise, not daring to believe what was happening. Lin Hong shouted in a deep voice, Sanchi, how many times have I taught you? Don't underestimate the enemy. Yes. Sanchi lowered his head and answered. Although Li Li appeared to be tall and big, he was definitely someone with brains. Brother Lin, from the looks of it, this Ji family has been exterminated. It is possible that Madame Ziyuan only appeared after she sensed that something was amiss, and after that, she ran into those people. Li Li, your deduction is very correct. It is impossible for Madame Ziyuan to come down here for no reason at all. Madame Ziyuan must have seen that there is a problem with Ji family. Thus, she came down here to stop Madame Ziyuan, but unexpectedly, she was captured by someone. Lin Hong felt that something was amiss. But who is capable of capturing Madame Ziyuan? Sanchi's head hurt from thinking about it. Although she was a god, her brain was the same. There were also people with low IQ. Lin Hong said in a deep voice, we came down for this matter. Let's take a look at the situation of the other 2 giants and ask them about the situation. Yes, yes. After finished speaking, the 3 disappeared from the spot. Within Voidless Realm, Qingya and Dongwang Baiji sat in Dongwang Li's small courtyard. Dongwang Li was currently sleeping in her mother's embrace, and Dongwang Li was mumbling, Ali misses Daddy. When the 2 women heard Li's sleep-talking, they smiled helplessly. However, within the smile, there was also bitterness. A month had passed, and Yihua still didn't come to look for them. Naturally, Yihua felt uncomfortable in his heart. No matter what, his wife ran away from home. As a husband, he should at least coax his wife. However, this Yihua didn't even say a single word to his wife. Qingya rubbed onto her belly that was already bulging out, and a gentle look could be seen on her beautiful face. After becoming a mother soon, Qingya's temperament seemed to have calmed down, and she wasn't as irritable and easily angry as before. There really isn't a single clue at all. Dongwang Baiji was very puzzled. During the past month, she and Qingya had investigated all of the details, and yet they were unable to find any clue at all. Either the matter was real, or the matter was concealed very well. There shouldn't be any clue at Yihua's side as well. If there was, he would have already done something long ago. Qingya said lightly. Feeling the little life in her belly, her mood became much better. Yihua is really too much. Your belly is already so round. No matter what, he still has to come and take a look at you. Dongwang Baiji felt that was unfair for Qingya. I gave birth to Ali all by myself. Could it be that Qingya is going to walk down the same path as me? Qingya said faintly. Just let him be. If worst comes to worst, I will take care of him myself in the future. Qingya, are you angry? Dongwang Baiji was still able to tell that a pregnant woman ran away from home, and her husband still doesn't care about her at all. This matter was different from me. Yihua knew that Qingya was pregnant. Qingya shook her head. Do I dare to be angry at him? He is the boss. Chinya, how about we send someone back? Dongwang Baiji asked. After not seeing each other for a month, it would be a lie if she said that she didn't miss Yihua. In actuality, being apart for a month was also beneficial. It allowed the two of them to clearly understand their feelings for each other. You aren't going to send Ali back, right? Chinya cried out in surprise. During this period of time, Ali's been calling me daddy every day. I am about to become a sinner. Dongwang Baiji smiled bitterly as she lightly caressed on her daughter's forehead. Chinya nodded her head. That's true. It has been a long time since Yihua last saw Ali. We can also ask Ali's daddy to inquire about some information. Dongwang Baiji seemed to feel that this idea was not bad. Chinya laughed lightly. Ali is about to become a little spy because of you. I suddenly feel that I should just let Yihua teach her. Chinya, whose side are you standing on? Be careful. Yihua might turn your son into a demon king. At the very least, if he becomes a demon king, he won't be bullied by others. Chinya said faintly. Standing from mother's perspective, Chinya naturally hoped that her son would grow up happily and be able to accomplish something after he grows up. Of course, the precondition was that her son wouldn't be bullied by others. Whoever dares to bully my son, as a mother, I, as her son, will definitely fight with my life on the line. Your Majesty, 3 outsiders suddenly barged in a voidless realm, and they claimed to be gods. An imperial guard hurriedly ran over and reported the emergency situation. Dongwang Baiji's brows wrinkled. Baiji, leave Ali to me. Quickly go and take a look at what is going on. Chinya said gravely. 3 gods suddenly came. Could it be related to Ji family's matter? Dongwang Baiji nodded her head, then handed her daughter over to Chinya, then disappeared from the courtyard. Yuanda and the others were all waiting in the palace, and in the middle of the palace stood 3 men. Chapter 382. Among the 3 big powers, Voidless Realm's barrier was the strongest, and it gave people the feeling that Voidless Realm was protected by a king. However, wasn't there another possibility as well? Rearing them in captivity? Arranging the Eastern Emperor family within their jurisdiction and waiting for the Eastern Emperor's bloodline to awaken. Perhaps they wanted to absorb the bloodline, or perhaps they had other motives? Yuanda and the others bowed and stood at the 2 sides. They could clearly feel the godly might that the 3 of them were emitting out. They didn't expect that 1,000 years later, a god would appear once again. Their hearts were restless. Why did they come here? Looking at their expressions, they don't seem to be in a good mood. Dongwang Baiji finished changing her clothes in her bedroom, then slowly walked into the palace and looked at the 3 people in the palace. This was also the first time that Lin Hong and the others saw Dongwang Baiji, and their eyes revealed a look of surprise. Her appearance is actually above Madame Zi Yuan's, and the aura that was emitting out from her body is even more similar to that of a king. If not for the difference in status, I would have already kneeled down just now. Sanchi was very unhappy. A mere person from a low-grade world actually made me have the urge to kneel down and worship. Sanchi shouted out, Eastern Emperor family, why are you not paying respects to the gods? Only Marquis Wangye's trusted aides knew about the Eastern Emperor family's arrangement, and other people naturally didn't know about it. Dongwang Baiji looked at the 3 of them and felt the faint godly might that the 3 of them were giving off. These 3 people are indeed gods. There is no mistake about it. Just that, this god sure is a big tone. If not for Voidless Realm's rule that was passed down from generation to generation, Dongwang Baiji wouldn't even bother to converse with them. Dongwang Baiji slightly leaned forward and said faintly, Dongwang Baiji pays respects to the gods. What kind of attitude is this? Sanchi reprimanded harshly. Lin Hong raised his hand, indicating to Sanchi not to speak carelessly. Dongwang Baiji, although you are a person with power in this world, you are not a king. You are nothing. Please be a bit more respectful. King? Dongwang Baiji asked confusedly. Lin Hong said faintly, there are some things that you know too much about. It is not a good thing. Dong Wang Baiji had been an empress for a very long time, and this was the first time that she met such a rude person. This is a god? He didn't seem to have the slightest intention of showing respect. In actuality, the reason why Dong Wang Baiji had such an attitude towards Dong Wang Baiji was also due to Yihua, because Yihua would often have a heart-to-heart talk with Dong Wang Baiji when he was sleeping. Although the things that Yihua talked to Dong Huang Baiji about weren't very big, Dong Huang Baiji deeply felt that she didn't need to listen to anyone else's orders in her life. Deity, is there a reason why you have come here today? Dong Huang Baiji asked indifferently. Her expression was the same as before, and she did not have the slightest bit of intention of backing down. Sanchi and Li Li's faces darkened. It seemed like they wanted to teach him a lesson. Although Lin Hong was angry, His Highness valued the Dongwang clan very much, and there couldn't be any mishaps. Lin Hong said in a deep voice, "Your attitude today, I will report it to His Highness. Bear the consequences yourself. I, the Empress, am naturally able to bear the responsibility," Dongwang Baiji said calmly. She slowly sat on the throne and looked down at the three of them. Lin Hong coldly snorted. "That's fine. I hope you can endure His Highness' anger." The expressions of Yuan De and the others abruptly changed. They didn't understand why the Empress had suddenly become so domineering. This was a god. He can easily destroy Voidless Realm. I can't offend him. If Yihua was here, he would definitely praise his wife. My woman doesn't need to fear anyone and anything. If they can't defeat me, I will call them husband. I will let them experience what deep despair is. If the three of you don't have anything else, you can leave Voidless Realm. Hearing that the Empress was going to expel the three of them, Yuanda's heart sunk. She really isn't giving me any face at all. Lin Hong didn't expect that this Dongwang Baiji would be so arrogant. If not for His Highness, I would have started a massacre today. Taking a deep breath, Yihua calmed down the anger within his body. Dongwang Baiji, I have a few things to ask you. Speak. Lin Hong had seen formidable people before, but he had never seen such a formidable woman before. That Madame Ziyuan was very formidable too, but in the end, she was still defeated by His Highness and then accepted into his harem. It was just that they had never seen a formidable woman before. If they had seen a formidable woman before, their attitude would definitely not be like this. How did Ji family get destroyed? Lin Hong asked gravely. So the reason why these deities came down is to ask about Ji family. Thinking about it, it is normal. I am only in charge of the north, and I am not very clear about what happened to Ji family. When I arrived at Ji family was already in ruins. Dongwang Baiji said. Have you seen this woman before? Lin Hong took out a portrait of a woman. Dongwang Baiji looked at the woman in the portrait. She looked so familiar. Where have I seen this woman before? Where have I seen this woman before? That's right. That's Zishan, Yihong's wife. My God, is that Zishan a deity? And Yihong is Yihua's underling. Dongwang Baiji's mind was a bit confused, but she mustn't be confused right now, because Yihua had caused a huge trouble. I have never seen her before. What relationship does the woman in the portrait have with Ji family? Dongwang Baiji asked. Lin Hong kept the portrait and said faintly, "This woman is His Highness's concubine, and the last place that she appeared was at Ji family." Dongwang Baiji's heart sunk, then said calmly, "So that's how it is. Since you don't know, then forget about it. However, I will report everything that you did today to His Highness." After finished speaking, Lin Hong brought his men and disappeared, heading towards Ying family to greet them. After the three of them left, Dongwang Baiji sat on the throne and went into a daze. After connecting all these things together, everything becomes clear. I have to discuss this matter with Qinya. Your Majesty? Yuan shouted out. All of you can leave. After finished speaking, Dongwang Baiji appeared in the courtyard. What happened? Qinya carried Dongwang Li and asked concernedly. Dongwang Baiji signaled the maid to carry her daughter into the house to sleep. Looking at Dongwang Baiji's expression, Qinya knew that it wasn't a good thing. Afterward, Dongwang Baiji told Qinya about what happened just now. The deities came because of Ji family's matter? Dongwang Baiji shook her head and said gravely, "No. To be precise, they came to look for a woman." Woman? Do you still remember the godly might that you felt at Ji family that day? That is the woman that they are looking for. Qin Ya's gaze was filled with doubt, then asked, "Is it related to Yihua?" As expected of the woman that Yihua regards highly, to be able to think of my man for everything. Dongwang Baiji nodded her head. This caused Qin Ya to exclaim in admiration. "Furthermore, we know that woman." "No." This time, Qin Ya was even more astonished. "She is Yihang's wife. Zishan." "Ah, it's her." Qin Ya stood up in shock. Dongwang Baiji hurriedly held onto Qin Ya. "Be careful of the child." "That's right, it is Zishan. Furthermore, this Zishan is some king's concubine." Qin Ya slowly sat down, then said with a taut face, "The cigarette ash that we found at Ji family that day." Chapter 383. A feeling of powerlessness emerged from Qin Ya's heart. Just who is Yihua? Why is my feeling towards Yihua becoming more and more blurry? Isn't he just the boss of a bar? Wasn't he a cultivator hiding from his enemies? Was Ji family exterminated by Yihua? Dongwang Baiji asked puzzledly. Qin Ya shook her head. This matter is still not easy to judge. The two women fell silent. They felt that their husband was hiding a lot of things from them. They couldn't understand why he was hiding it from them. Was it because he didn't trust him? "I'm your wife. If anything happens, we'll face it together. Why do you have to hide it from me?" Yihua was worried that they wouldn't be able to accept his identity, and thus, there were some things that Yihua didn't say. Of course, there were also some things that Yihua felt that there was no need to say. After all, they were all small matters, and there was nothing to say. However, to Qin Ya and Dongwang Baiji, these small matters were huge matters. In actuality, what women were concerned about was whether or not the man had placed them in his heart. However, Yihua didn't know what these women were thinking. After all, he didn't have much experience in dating, and thus, he directly skipped this part and became a father. However, right now, Yihua still didn't know that the gods had already come to look for him. Furthermore, his two wives already knew that he was present at that time. Although he didn't tell the gods that he was present at that time, the two wives were still very unhappy that their husbands were hiding everything from them. Yihua stood at the entrance of Leisure Bar and took a look at the Audi A8 that was parked at the side. Right now, there isn't even a driver left. Opening up his phone, he took a look at the change in his WeChat. There is only 100 plus RMB left. Yesterday, I went to Lai Gu's house to freeload a meal. Today, I will go to Wei Chang's house to freeload a meal. As for Qin Yutong, who is playing games, I don't care about her anymore. "Brother-in-law, wait for me." Qin Yutong immediately rushed out and hugged onto Yihua's arm. Yihua's arm sunk deep into that soft place. Right now, Qin Yutong doesn't even need to put on makeup when she goes out, because she is much more beautiful than before. "What are you doing out here?" "Going to eat with brother-in-law?" Qin Yutong said with a smile. "Don't you have money?" "Brother-in-law, do you think I have money? Hurry up and bring my sister back, or else we'll have to beg for food." Yihua sneered. "Even if I starve to death, I won't go there." Qin Yutong's face was filled with disbelief. "You came just in time, you drive," Yihua said faintly. Qin Yutong stretched out her delicate hand. "What? Brother-in-law, the car needs to be refueled. When I drove it back yesterday, it was almost out of gas." Yihua raised his hand and slapped onto his sister-in-law's buttocks. "Are you only going to open it and not increase it? I also need to have money to add on. It hurts so much," Qin Yutong said pitifully. When other people spanked their buttocks, it was only for the sake of their mood, but when brother-in-law spanked their buttocks, it was completely a real spanking. Yihua could only take out his phone and call Didi. Not long after, a Geely drove over, and Yihua brought along his sister-in-law to freeload a meal. When the old driver in the front saw the man and woman getting on the car, he was also amazed. This woman was really beautiful. Just looking at her made him have a physiological reaction. Brother-in-law, we can't go on like this. The old driver almost rear-ended the car. It was actually his sister-in-law and brother-in-law. Looking at how intimate they were, this sister-in-law could not wait to directly stick to him. She even said such words. He was simply speechless. She was playing with her brother-in-law behind her sister's back. Yihua said faintly, "Go back to your old profession and earn some money for me." The old driver almost flipped the car. This brother-in-law wants his sister-in-law to sell herself and earn money for him. This is simply too ferocious to the extreme. Sniff, 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 I don't want to do it. How about brother-in-law you go and do it? The old driver almost choked to death on his own saliva. This is definitely the weirdest brother-in-law and sister-in-law, selling all kinds of things. Scram. Qing Yutong pouted her mouth. I definitely won't go and become a celebrity. How boring is that? I might as well stay at home and play games to be happy. 20 minutes later, the two finally arrived at Wei Chang's old neighborhood. Might as well let Wei Chang sell the house. At least he can still sleep in the storage room. Yihua muttered. Qing Yutong laughed lightly. Hearing his sister-in-law's laughter, Yihua asked, "What are you laughing at? Your life is not as good as your subordinates." Yihua raised his hand and gave a slap, causing Qing Yutong's face to turn red. Most probably, she was feeling it. She even had to walk with her legs between her legs. Brother-in-law, did we forget about Yi Zizi? Qing Yutong suddenly remembered Yi Zizi. This child has not finished school yet. Let her directly come over to eat later. The two walked towards Wei Chang's building, and just when they arrived downstairs, they saw Wei Chang and Tang Wei going out of the building. "Boss!" Wei Chang cried out in surprise. Tang Wei hurriedly greeted Yihua, and Yihua signaled to Tang Wei to forget about it. "What are you two going to do?" Yihua asked. "I was just about to come here to freeload a meal, and you two are going out right now." Wei Chang said respectfully, "Boss, we were just about to go to the Green and Red brothers' house. Yi Hong is treating us today." Yihua's brows wrinkled. "To actually not inform the Supreme Overlord that you are treating us. Do you want to die? If Yi Hong has the guts to go and treat you, you are a Supreme Overlord. Would you even care about a meal like this?" However, the current Yi Hua indeed cared about it very much. Wherever there is food to eat, I will freeload there, and I still have to maintain the demeanor of a Supreme Overlord. However, upon thinking about Little Red, Yihua thought about that Zishan. I wonder how their situation is. I forgot about this matter. Calculating the time, it should be around 2 months, right? Has this Little Red gotten Zishan yet? If she didn't, Yihua stood there and waited for Wei Chang to invite him. Could it be that I, the Supreme Overlord, am going to take the initiative to go? Wei Chang felt that his honor wanted to say something, so he lowered his head and listened to his honor. Seems like Zhu Tian is still the brains of the team. "Boss, how about we go together?" Tang Wei, who was at the side, said respectfully. Yihua said reluctantly, "I, the Supreme Overlord, will go and take a look then." Qing Yutong wanted to laugh, but she didn't dare to. Brother-in-law really wants everything. He clearly wants to freeload a meal, but he is too embarrassed to ask for it. Wei Chang's current car was a Qian, which was a bit more high-end than Yihua's A8. Once again, Qing Yutong's words were verified. Tang Wei was driving. Wei Chang was sitting at the front passenger seat, and Yihua and Qing Yutong were sitting at the back. Wei Chang turned his head around and asked, "Your Honor, is there a reason why you came here today?" I went to visit Lai Gu yesterday, so I came here today to see how you're doing," Yihua said indifferently. Wei Chang immediately felt overwhelmed by the favor. "Your Honor is truly considerate towards subordinates. That is natural." Qing Yutong really wanted to expose brother-in-law's true colors. He just ran out to freeload a meal because he has no food to eat. "That's right. How are Yi Hong and Zishan getting along?" Yihua asked. Wei Chang paused for a moment, then said, "The relationship between the two is much better than before, just that they have yet to reach his honor's request." "Oh, Zishan isn't pregnant yet?" "She isn't." Chapter 384. The heart of Tang Wei, who was driving, also sunk. Even Wei Chong felt that his honor's words had a hidden meaning. Is his honor talking about me? Wei Chong said with a smile. Your honor, the gap between Yi Hong and Zishan's status is too big, and they need to get used to each other. Besides, isn't there still half a month left? Who knows? Maybe I'm pregnant. Not necessarily. If that Zishan is still the same as before, then let's just kill her. Yihua said faintly. I hate the feeling of gods acting high and mighty the most. Even I, the supreme overlord, do not act so pretentiously. Of course, Wei Chong wouldn't object. Yes, Qing Yutong, who was at the side, also didn't say anything because Qing Yutong knew that even if she said anything, it would be useless. If Qing Yu was here, she would definitely stop him. This was also the difference between the two sisters. They each had their own unique characteristics. Half an hour later, they finally arrived at the villa where the Green and Red brothers lived. Wei Chong got off the car and opened the door respectfully. Yi Hua and Qing Yutong looked at the villa in front of them and sighed with emotion. Qing Yutong pulled her brother-in-law, seemingly saying, Look at your little brother's little brother. He is living even more freely than you. Let's go. Yi Hua said faintly. No matter how carefree he is still my subordinate, and I can take back everything that I have bestowed upon him. As Wei Chong and Tang Wei led the way, Tang Wei pressed the doorbell. Very quickly, the door was opened, and the person who opened the door was Zishan. Zishan could be seen wearing a white apron and seemed to be cooking. When Zishan opened the door, there was a trace of a smile on her face. However, when Zishan saw Yihua, who was outside, she immediately retracted that trace of smile, as if she had seen a ghost. Yihua saw this action of hers. Seems like in just a month's time, there is indeed some change, but it is not a big change. In actuality, Zishan's change in this 1 month was quite big. In the past, she was hostile towards everyone. But now, at the very least, she was no longer hostile towards Wei Chong and Tang Wei. At the very least, when Zishan opened the door just now, she revealed a slight smile. From this, it could be seen that Zishan was very happy. At this time, the Green and Red brothers hurriedly came out of the Green and Red brothers and greeted respectfully, Your Honor. Go in, Yihua said faintly. He was very dissatisfied with Zishan's attitude. Yihong seemed to have sensed it as well. This shouldn't be the case. Zishan's attitude towards me has clearly changed during this period of time. In the past, he was always cold and sarcastic. Now, he would smile from time to time and speak more often. The most obvious thing was that Zishan had started learning how to cook. Furthermore, he was exceptionally meticulous. When he was cooking, he referred to the teachings on the internet and was extremely precise in how many grams of sugar and how many grams of salt to add. The food that Zishan made was naturally very delicious. At the very least, Yihong was able to truly understand Zishan's intentions. Although there was no skin-to-skin contact, Yihong was already very satisfied with this kind of life. Yihong had almost forgotten about the deadline of 2 months. And today, his honor's sudden arrival shattered Yihong's beautiful dream, causing Yihong to think of the 2-month promise. Yihong wasn't the only one who thought of this. Zishan had also thought of it. I feel that his honor came over this time for this matter, but none of you could have imagined it. However, when he saw Zishan's attitude, he seemed to have changed his mind. Walking into the villa, Yihua sat on the sofa, while Qing Yutong sat at the side and peeled oranges for her brother-in-law. However, the others stood to the side, not daring to do anything. Why are you all standing here? Those who need to cook, go cook. Yihua said faintly. I only ate instant noodles for lunch, and I'm a bit hungry. If I don't train my fleshly body, I won't be able to do anything. Zishan went to the kitchen, and Tang Wei followed her to help. Brother-in-law here. Qing Yutong peeled an orange and passed it to Yihua. Yihua took over the cup and said faintly, Everyone sit. Thank you, Your Honor. Big Brother Green was also worried for little brother. Today, when his honor comes up, he will definitely ask about it. Wei Chong felt helpless. This orange is rather sweet. Yihua couldn't help but say. Qing Yutong, on the other hand, was rather tactful as she laughed brother-in-law, let me peel another one for you. After pausing for a moment, Yihua asked faintly, Yihong, how have you been recently? Yihong suddenly stood up, appearing to be very nervous. Your Honor, I've been doing well recently. Zishan, who was in the kitchen, turned her head around and looked at Yihong, feeling worried in her heart. Tang Wei, who was at the side, asked in a low voice, Zishan, did you and Yihong do that? Hearing that, Zishan's face turned slightly red, then shook her head. Zishan, there is still some time left. You two better hurry up. Tang Wei reminded Zishan. In the beginning, I felt that Yihong and Zishan weren't compatible, but after getting to know each other, they were actually quite good. The two of them complemented each other. Zishan remained silent. Originally, I thought that I would be able to spend the last moments of my life like this. But as time passes, I feel more and more reluctant to part with Yihong. Even Zishan can't say what she is reluctant to part with. Is it Yihong? Perhaps. After Yihua, who was sitting on the sofa, heard what Zishan said, he nodded his head, then asked, Have you two slept with each other yet? Yihong's heart sunk. As expected, it still came. Your Honor, not yet. Yihong didn't dare to lie to Yihua. Is she not willing? Yihong hurriedly explained to Zishan. Your Honor, you misunderstood. It is my problem. Young people can't do it just because of this. Go and buy some medicine to eat. Yihua shook his head. This person's physique is not good enough. Your Honor has misunderstood. I am the one who is not prepared. Yihua's gaze turned cold. It is you who is not willing. It is she who is not willing. It is I who is not willing. Zishan, who was in the kitchen, suddenly walked out and shouted out. After hearing that, Yihong's expression changed, then explained, Your Honor, it is subordinate who is not willing. It has nothing to do with Zishan. Qing Yutong finally understood what was going on. In actuality, the two of them liked each other, and it was just that Zishan couldn't put down her face. Yihua said gravely, Since the two of you are not willing, let's have our last meal today. Yihong was frightened, and she immediately knelt in front of Yihua. Your Honor, I am willing to bear any responsibility for Zishan. Yihua took the orange from his sister-in-law's hand. Don't say anything now. Let's eat first. Your Honor, Wei Chong shouted out gravely, Yihong. He warned Yihong not to anger his honor anymore. Yihong took a look at Zishan and discovered that Zishan's eyes were red. What are you still standing there for? Quickly go and cook. Yihua looked at Zishan, who was standing there motionlessly, and shouted out gravely, Why is this woman so foolish? Doesn't she know how to please me? She is still resisting even now. These women nowadays, it is even harder for them to lower their heads than to reach the heavens. Wei Chong took a look at Tang Wei, and the latter pulled Zishan into the kitchen. However, right now, Zishan was no longer in the mood to cook. Tang Wei was able to understand Zishan's feelings, and she began to cook herself. Just now, when Zishan saw Yihong pleading for her and kneeling down, Zishan felt her heart ache. This is a feeling that I have never felt before. And when he said that today is his last meal, he should be trying to kill me, right? Looking at Yihong, who was sitting there not saying a word, Zishan suddenly felt a bit reluctant to die. This was not because she was afraid of death, but rather, she was reluctant to part with Yihong. The scene of Yihong taking revenge for her couldn't help but appear in Zishan's mind, and her heart immediately began to ache faintly. Yihua had successfully instigated a deity to rebel against him. To be more precise, it was Yihong who moved a deity with her sincerity. Chapter 385. Brother-in-law, it's almost time to eat. I'll fill my stomach first. Wei Chong and the others were a little puzzled. Is his honor hungry? Yihua knew that he spoke too quickly and said in a deep voice, Recently, I like fruits. So that's how it was. Qing Yutong smiled, but did not say anything. While holding onto the apple, she carefully peeled it. Half an hour later, the meal was finally ready, and the sky outside gradually darkened. Your Honor, can we start eating now? Tang Wei walked over and asked respectfully. Yihua stood up, open it. Qing Yutong also joined the team that carried the dishes. F***CK. It has been a long time since I have seen such a sumptuous dinner. Ever since they left, my life seems to have returned to how it was in the past, and I feel very uncomfortable. The three women sat on one side, the three men sat on the other side, and Yihua sat on the main seat. Let's eat. What are you still in a daze for? Yihua said faintly, then took the initiative to pick up the chopsticks and have a taste. It feels pretty good. Life with a woman is so comfortable. Qing Yutong was also not courteous. After following her brother-in-law for the past few days, she was almost starving to death. Qing Yutong could disregard her image and eat whatever she wanted, but Yi Hua couldn't. He had to follow his honor's eating method. What does his honor's eating method mean? In the end, when he saw his sister-in-law wolfing down the food, he glared fiercely at her. I haven't even started eating yet, and you have already finished a bowl. However, Yi Hong and Zishan, who were sitting on the dining table, did not have much of an appetite. Their bowl of rice had almost turned into porridge. Yi Hua saw this, but he didn't say anything. It was her own choice. However, for Wei Chong and Tang Wei, this was the most boring meal they had ever eaten. It should be said that when I am eating together with his honor, I am unable to let go of myself. Even the sound of chewing has to be suppressed, fearing that it will affect his honor's appetite. Half an hour later, this boring meal finally ended. Other than Yi Hua and Qing Yutong, everyone else felt incomparably stifled. Qing Yutong didn't have that kind of feeling that other people had. Of course, this was all thanks to Qingya. If not, how could Qing Yutong have the title of sister-in-law? Qing Yutong's backer was not just an ordinary person. After the meal, Yi Hua sat on the sofa and ate fruits, while the girls were washing the dishes in the kitchen. Bang! The sound of plates breaking rang out from the kitchen. Yi Hua turned his head around and took a look, and Zishan was standing there in a daze. Tang Wei said, Zishan, let me do it. You go out and rest. No need. Qing Yutong, who was at the side, let out a breath. Is face really that important? Big sister is also like this. Even now, she is still unable to put down her face. Seems like only by being shameless can one be unparalleled under the heavens. Just like me, haha. 10 minutes later, the bowl was finally washed, which meant that something bad had happened. It seemed like Zishan didn't want to face this, and she actually picked up a mop to clean the floor. It was as if he wanted to clean the house, even if he had to die. Of course, perhaps he was stalling for time and wanted to stay a little longer. Qing Yutong and Tang Wei seemed to have sensed it and looked at Yi Hua, who was sitting on the sofa, but did not say anything. 1 hour later, Zishan finally finished cleaning the bathroom and said lightly, I'm going to take a bath. Yi Hua didn't stop them. When Zishan reappeared, she was wearing the same set of clothes that she was wearing when she first came here. I'll just go back to how I came here. Yi Hua took out a stick of cigarette and lit it up, then looked at Zishan, who was standing in front of him. Of course, there was also Yi Hong, who had a taut expression on her face, and Big Brother Green, who was standing at the side with his brows tightly wrinkled. Yi Hong, do you still remember what I said back then? Yi Hua said. Yi Hong lowered her head and said, I remember. Repeat what I said one more time. Yi Hong paused, and even his fingers were trembling. He wanted to say something, but he was unable to say anything. However, Zishan said faintly, if I am not able to get pregnant within 2 months, Yi Hong will personally kill me. Yi Hua nodded his head. Although it hasn't been 2 months yet, it seems like the two of you don't want to get pregnant then. Yi Hua could be seen taking out a sword that was emitting a faint golden light, and on the sword, there was a vivid and lifelike golden dragon engraved on the sword. Yi Hua casually threw the heaven-defying weapon onto the coffee table. This is the Dragon Rebel sword. Yi Hong, do it. This situation caused Wei Chong to be confused. Is his honor serious, or is he just scaring us? Qing Yutong and Tang Wei also became nervous. Zishan looked at the Dragon Rebel sword on the coffee table and seemed to have accepted her fate. Today, between Zishan and Yi Hong, one of them will naturally die. If the ending is like this, then I will just let myself receive the punishment that I deserve. Yi Hong, do it. With trembling hands, Yi Hong picked up the Dragon Rebel sword from the tea table, looked at Zishan, and then knelt on the ground with a plop. Your Honor, I am willing to receive punishment in Zishan's place. Right when Yi Hua was about to say something, Wei Cheng's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly sent a private message to his honor. Your honor, Death Mage has sent news over. 3 deities have gone to Ying family, and it seems like they're looking for Zishan. Hearing that, Yi Hua's brows wrinkled. Seems like this deity is finally making a move. And here I thought that the deity was an idiot. Wei Chong, telling family's people to tell them that the person is here. Yes, letting out a breath. Yi Hua looked at Yi Hong, who was kneeling down, and said faintly, Yi Hong, do you think that she will care about you when you are like this? This subordinate is willing to do this. Yi Hong said in a low voice, as long as his honor is willing to spare Zishan's life, I am willing to do anything. Yi Hua nodded his head, seemingly agreeing with what Yi Hong said. Soon after, Yi Hua said, Yi Hong, I can agree to your request, and I can even remove the restriction between the two of you. It was too sudden. Yi Hong had never expected this. She was so shocked that she didn't know what to say. Zishan didn't expect that Yi Hua would let her off. You two are still too young. Yi Hua just changed his mind. Yi Hong, are you willing to use all of your strength to exchange for her freedom? Yi Hua asked. This kind of choice was very difficult for a person to make. Strength. This was a world where strength was respected. Without strength, Yi Hong would still be that little hooligan from before. With strength, Yi Hong would be able to stand above a lot of people. However, to use all of one's strength to exchange for the freedom of a woman who didn't like them, it seemed like a lot of people already had their own answer. However, Yi Hong was still Yi Hong. He didn't become arrogant just because he had powerful strength. Your honor, I am willing. Yi Hong, you have to think this through clearly. There's a possibility that she will return to Ying family, and you'll become nothing. Yi Hua reminded once again. Your honor, I've already made up my mind. Thank you, your honor, for taking care of me during this period of time. I have failed to live up to your honor's expectations. Big Brother Green sighed. How many men are willing to give up everything for a woman? I thought that all of those women were fake, but I didn't expect that my little brother was the same as well. Yi Hua said gravely, all right. Yi Hua stretched out his hand and immediately sucked out Yi Hong's ability. Black mist drilled out from Yi Hong's eyes, ears, nose, and mouth, causing Yi Hong to howl out in pain. At this moment, only then did Zishan come back to her senses and shouted out miserably, no. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.